Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Houston, we have a problem.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
To my surprise, a pair of bunny eyes. Oh, is this a neat way to travel? Isn't it great? I like to skip along, but me, boy. Or whatever you call it. I can't get my left leg in front of me. Dum, 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum.
Armstrong pulled the ejection ring at the last possible moment.
There we go. All right, what's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism. You should be hearing me now. I'm with Archersage, and he's going to check in, make sure we can hear him too. Go ahead and say hi. Should be good. Just 1 second. Let's make sure that everything is good. Does everybody hear us okay now? All right, good. I think everybody can hear us both. Did you hear us both? We hear you. Thanks, Bob. All right, so I'm here with Archersage, and we are about to do a roast or a final rites as we bury the artist formerly known as NASA. Starting off, just wanted to point out something in a little web page that Archer showed to me the other night. He asked me if I had seen some of the stuff that Robert Simon had said regarding his iPhone Blue Marble, and I'd say, yeah, I've seen it. And he's like, oh, but have you seen the? I say, yeah, I've seen what he said, that that it has to be, and all. He's like, oh no, read this article. So I just wanted to point this out. I thought it was pretty hilarious. So this is the website QZ.com. The guy who created the iPhone's Earth image explains why he needed to fake it. So we're just going to look at this article real quick. I'll basically read the whole thing just because it gets interesting. But it says here, pulling his iPhone out of his pocket at a conference cocktail reception, Robert Simon performs a parlor trick few can match. He shows the phone's lock screen. Up pops the image of planet Earth that is familiar to millions, the default image on the first iPhone, which was dropped from Apple's mobile operating system in 2012 to the dismay of many. This one is mine, he says. As it turns out, much of what one might assume about this beautiful image is not true. It wasn't commissioned or paid for by Apple. It isn't actually a photograph of Earth. And the blackness surrounding it, that's not space either. We continue, but the story behind the much admired image that introduced the world to the iPhone, known as the Blue Marble, is worth telling in its own right. Simon, a data visualizer and designer at NASA's Earth Observatory, created the image in 2002. He told courts it's not a photograph, but a sophisticated visualization. Images of the Earth may seem commonplace, but there are actually very few pictures of the entire planet. The problem, Simon said, is all the NASA Earth-observing satellites are in low Earth or geostationary orbit, meaning none of them are far enough away to see a full hemisphere. The most familiar pictures of the entire Earth are from the 1960s and 1970s Apollo missions to the Moon. It continues, as realistic as it looks, the image is a composite of 4 months of light data collected in 1,429-mile wide bands as NASA's Terra satellite orbited pole to pole and the Earth rotated beneath it. The data was then stitched together and applied to the surface of a digital ball and then modified in Photoshop. Let's continue. So Simon readily admits that there are numerous fakeries in his image. The atmosphere is a Photoshop blur. Some of the clouds are collaged together using Photoshop's clone tool to cover gaps in satellite's coverage. The black area around the Earth is not the void of space. It is simply a background of black color that Simon placed the Earth on top of. This is standard practice, Simon says. Most actual photographs of the Earth, including the Apollo images, present the planet on a black background. Without these alterations, the image wouldn't look very earthy-like, Simon said. He based his manipulations on reality, in the sense that I've looked at a lot of imagery to see how thick should that be, how blue should that be, but he later added, it's more hyper-realistic than realistic. So it goes on from there, and Archer, why don't you tell me what you feel about that? Or you might want to start off with just telling everybody who you are, where you're from, and what we're going to do tonight. I can hear you fine. I'll make sure everybody else can too. Let's see here. 1 second. I want to make sure everyone can hear you fine. Making sure everybody can hear Archer okay. Oh, they say they can't hear. No sound from Archer. Okay, 1 second. Let me see what's going on. Okay, what would that be? Reason for that? Oh, wait, let me put this one on here. Minimize this and try this. Okay, well, clearly I can hear you, and why would that be? 1 second, guys. Hold up 1 second. I will figure out what's going on in 1 second. It says that there's sound coming through. Desktop. Maybe it's this one. Let me see here. Audio here. That seems to be fine. I can hear you fine, which is weird because you should be coming through my mic at least. 1 second. Wonder why it wouldn't hear you. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to make sure this is on correct. This is where's my audio mixer? Audio microphone and this one. Which is really weird because when I take phone calls, everybody can hear the caller. What's the difference here? Just that we started it before the thing went live, which is really weird. Why wouldn't it be? Give me 1 second, everybody. I might call you or might have you call back, but one second, let me see if I can figure out why that wouldn't. It shouldn't make a difference that I called you before we started. Go ahead and share your screen now, just like we were doing before. If you go ahead and share your screen, I'm just going to see if that changes anything. Let me make sure my. Okay, are you sharing? Okay, I see it. I see you. Yeah, I can hear you fine, which is what's so weird. One second. Let me make sure that the call audio settings are correct, which they should be. Yes. Oh, this might. Nope, that's right. Go ahead and talk now. I want to make sure your sound's coming through. Yeah, I see it there. Okay, save. I'm going to check again and make sure everybody can hear me. And so everybody just hears me and no Archer, huh? Somebody said flat technical difficulties or not, I love this channel. Still can't hear him. Okay, thanks. We're going to figure it out. 1 second. Yeah, I'll get this one day, and it may be around 2034, 2035, but it'll be awesome the day I get it. Yeah, just 1 second. I'm just going to make sure, because I don't know what difference it's going to make if you call back in. I guess it's still going to be like a phone call, so that's the only difference. Maybe it will pop up the audio-wise. Yeah, why don't you try that? Just we'll hang up and then call me right back. All right. So now we're going to treat it as if I'm getting a phone call, which works every other time. So 1 second. What are you guys seeing over here? Oh, just the web page there. Okay. And let me see. Answer. All right, you there? Okay, let me see. I can hear you fine, so I'm just going to check again and see what's going on over here and see if anybody hears you. Mixer. So, did you guys hear him calling? Don't shoot me, Dirt. We're trying to get... No, they still say no. It's always worked before because I... Oh, let me try and... Audio microphone, that's on A. Did you have it off before? Oh, I see what you're saying. Let me see make sure I don't have anything going on here. Yeah, I'm not sure, because when I take calls, this is what I do. I have people call in, and I'm trying to think if I have anything differently set. Why wouldn't they hear me? I can hear you fine. It's just nobody else hears you. It says also, I don't wonder what Bob meant. He put also no Skype audio at all. What does that mean? No Skype audio at all. What does that even mean? Well, you can hear my audio, right? No Skype audio. Oh, you didn't hear the phone ring. Okay, I got you. 1 second. I see what they're saying. Nope, but 1 second. I think I know what I need to do. I need to add an input. And let me try this. And we'll go with a... Let me try to add it again this time. Go desktop. Oh, here's this one. So it says Skype 1, Skype 2. Okay, talk now. I'm just going to see if anybody finds anything different there. Yep, no difference here. I'm not noticing any difference. I just don't know why it wouldn't show anything. Yeah, which is really weird because I didn't do anything different than when I take calls. That's why I didn't think I had to do anything different. Let me see here. This is on. The only thing I could think of is if there's some sort of level issue going on here. Yeah, and I should hear you no matter what anyway. You know, when I take calls, you know, I can be looking at anything and it's not going to change what people listening at home get. So 1 second, let me see. The only thing that could be wrong is this. Well, Bob, I'll tell you that I should have stuck with OBS. Because even though I like some of this part better, the audio part is much, much more difficult. And OBS just seemed to work. And this one here is giving me trouble. Yeah, for sure they'll see that because that's just a visual input. You know, for instance, go ahead. Are you screen sharing now? Yeah, go ahead and do that. Okay, let me get over there and hit accept. Okay, so now you're screen sharing, and then I'm going to put this away. Yeah, and so now if I switch this over, I'm just going to show that your screen share works fine. So if we put this, now this is your screen share. So that's the weirdest part, is that I'm not getting, and actually I'll change the size. So yeah, so that's your screen share. The only problem is that we're not getting any audio from you. So I will try and fix that 1 second. The only I can think of is maybe the master output is not including you. Shouldn't be able to split us up, I wouldn't think. Okay, this could cause a massive echo if I accidentally screw this up some. They just don't hear you. Correct? Yeah, still nobody? Yes, we can see the screen share. So they can see... No, they can't hear you. I can hear you fine. Yeah, that's what's weird, is that it's not... But when I take calls, this is the same thing. That's why I don't understand what's going on. Usually people can just call in, and I'm going to try and add something like this real quick. It might cause an echo. If it does, I'm sorry. Now try talking. Yep. But I've got a echo of myself. How would I do that? Well, I could turn on the microphone from... As we hear him faintly in the back. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to try and see if it's something in Skype, because maybe I have to change the options in Skype. 1 second. Tools and audio settings, speakers. I'm going to try and change this. Oh, it doesn't even give me another option. Well, that's weird. Make a free test call. Sounds. Oh, sounds. No. Audio. Save. I don't think it can be anything on your end, because people call in when I do the call-in show, and there's never an issue. Let me see here. Make sure this is correct. Maybe it's in the actual settings of the computer here. Let me see. Skype. I turn that up. Okay, maybe that will help a little. Go ahead and talk now. Okay, let's see if that works. Oh, somebody says I can hear, but I don't know if they're talking about... We're actually... Jeran and I can hear each other. Yeah, we can hear each other. I don't know why nobody's hearing you going over the loudspeaker. They say they can hear you faintly? Oh, well then it's something over here. Okay, hold on. Let me turn this up a couple times. Maybe there's something over here with the volume that I can fix. That's up, that's up, that's up. Okay, try talking now. Let me see 1 second. I'm going to turn you up even more. How about now? Can you guys hear him? Okay, we'll wait and see what somebody says. It says, Jeran, we hear you. Yeah, Sage, we can hear you. Oh, wait. No, it says, yeah, Sage, we can hear Jeran, but not you. We can't hear you. I don't hear him at all. Okay, hold on. That makes no sense, because I am... let me try this button right here. Sorry. Try and talk now.
Now I can hear myself in an echo.
Oh, you can now? Okay, that's because I pressed this button, which I knew would cause an echo. Still very faint. I don't know what that means. So they are hearing him?
No, some people are, but others aren't.
I can barely hear him. Can I hear Archer? No Archer. God bless it. Then some
Okay,
people are saying
they
yes.
can hear.
Yes, you can, or you
Now
cannot.
we just got to get rid of that delay.
So, well, I wonder if they hear it too.
Yeah, do you guys hear a delay?
Loud and clear. Yes, yes. We can hear him. Just very quiet. Fixed, kinda. Yes, got it. Loud and clear. Jeez.
So is there any way to turn off that delay?
So you're hearing a delay on your end.
Yeah, they're not hearing a delay, but I'm hearing a delay.
Let me think here if it would be...
So what should we do?
Let me try and turn this down, see. Do you still hear the delay?
Let me talk real quick. No, I don't hear it. Can you guys still hear me? Let me know if you still hear me.
Okay, let's see. says, yes, we hear him. How would we know? That makes a lot of sense. Sage, turn yours down to
Okay.
stop delay.
Okay, so you guys can still hear.
No
Okay.
delay, we're all
All right,
good. No
we're
delay,
ready.
no delay. Okay, we're just going to make sure I don't want to get going. Perfect audio from both of you. Still, because I'm not touching anything. Yes, we can hear. Yes, we can hear. Needs more cowbell. We
Okay,
do
is
need
it
more
loud
cowbell.
enough?
We need more cowbell, basically is what they're saying. Yeah, I think
Well,
it's fine.
I think NASA was messing with your channels,
No, it's
your audio
probably,
channels.
probably me. Yeah, I'm guessing that was me.
Probably NASA though, to be honest.
Well, they definitely are up to no good. So, and you don't hear your own delay. We're all good, right?
No, no, I don't hear anything.
Okay,
No,
good.
yeah, I'm good. We're
All
good.
right, we're back. All right. So now go ahead and share your page, and we can start. Or are you already sharing?
Yeah, right here. Okay, so you already talked about you were talking about what Rob Simmons said.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and finish what you were saying on that.
Yeah, basically, was just saying that for everyone who thinks that there's so many pictures of Earth, obviously there isn't. And I think one of the best lines or most important lines in that whole little interview was him talking about the Apollo images and saying that the Apollo images are all an Earth put onto a black background, which doesn't make any sense because if you're taking an image of Earth from a distance, let's say 50,000 miles, how would you get the Earth out of the image to place it on a black background, and why would you do that? If you're able to take an image from 50,000 miles, then you just have an image of the Earth in the black background of space. So all of that
Yeah.
makes no sense.
And that's what we see with the FTP server website that you found. You know, many Earth photos, not really photos, but they're models, but they have transparent backgrounds, and that's simply to post it or paste it over a black background, which, Rob Simmons is a lead, data visualizer of NASA, and he tells you that this is how they do it. And what got me is he said, not only are most photographs of the Earth pasted over a black background, he said, including the Apollo images.
Right.
And that is just the most condemning thing I've ever heard. So now I can't look at an Apollo image the same. Nobody should. After this guy said that, every Apollo image that you've seen of the Earth, you should now be like, something's not right, because he just said, including the Apollo images. So yeah, they paste over a black background, and we're going to show people today many examples and obvious proofs that they do. Not that I have to prove it, but we can prove it. But you also have, their own words to use against them.
Absolutely. So Archer's been doing a bunch of work, and how many videos do you have at this point? It's a ton.
Yeah, like 90 in 2.5 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been putting together a lot of, and tell everybody where they can find you, what your channel name is, and kind of what your goal is or what your intent is with the videos you've been doing.
Yeah, well, the main thing I focus on is I've realized to get people to see things from our point of view, you have to actually show them that there's something wrong with the space agencies, with the images, because that's what most people think, right? When you think of like the Earth, you think of an image. So if you can prove to them that that they are faking images of Earth, and then that they even admit that they pasted over a black background, that's what I want to focus on. So my channel, I mostly take NASA statements and quotes and use it against them, which may not be the best idea because you're kind of using a lie to prove another lie. But in the end, you got to go and look at what they actually put out there. If you just look a little bit, if you just do a little bit of research, you'll see the types of things that they're saying just don't make sense, but at the same time make perfect sense as to why the images are the way they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you that it's important that people see, because it makes a big difference, and I can understand why. That if somebody tells you that there's no pictures of Earth, and people think that a composite is the same thing as an actual image, they say, oh, well, no, they're just composites. That's the same thing. Well, it depends on what you're talking about, right? Because I can do a composite image where, let's say I'm taking a 360 panoramic shot of my town or whatever from the top of my house. So I keep spinning and I keep taking an image, and then I go back in some sort of software and I paste those images all together. Well, technically that is a composite image, and it is a true representation of the area around me. But I also can take an image of Archer, for instance, and I could plug him in there, and it's also a composite image, but it's no longer a true representation of what is going on when I spin around and look at the world. So we have to be careful when we just talk about a composite image, because Yeah. Can a composite image be a true representation of reality? It can, but it doesn't mean that it is.
Yeah, and that text box, you might have to keep sliding your screen up. I'm not sure if that will get rid of it, but yeah, one of the things that I thought was very weird on this page is he said without these alterations, the image wouldn't look very Earth-like.
Like he knows.
Okay, so he's saying, without Photoshop, the image wouldn't look like Earth. That's like saying, Jeran, I'm gonna paint you in Photoshop, okay? And if I didn't do that, it wouldn't look like you. Is that what he's saying?
Makes no sense.
That's what he's saying. He's saying basically, and if we didn't do this, it wouldn't look like Earth. So what he's saying is, well, our idea of Earth is a photoshopped image.
Right. Which is what he said in that
so,
other
but we already
article.
know that.
Right. In that other article, he was saying that it's important to portray the Earth as people expect to see it. So, it just makes
And
no
the
sense.
data that he got, people have this image that he got these pictures of the globe, and he just like put some clouds here and made it a little more blue here and there. No, he actually made it into a globe. He was actually credited for the 3D globe. That was actually in like the credits, like just globe. That's what he did. So they gave him rectangular data, right, which is supposed to be strip data. But again, you can go. I have the FTP server link for the original Blue Marble photos that he used, and it's not even strip data. It's just rectangular. Like here's some clouds, here's some land, and it doesn't even look like a picture. None of it does. And then he superimposes it, and then he forms it into a 3D globe. That's literally all he does.
Right.
And again, he's told you that it's common practice to paste it over black background. So this is not a theory that they do this. They do. It's a fact. They do this.
And not that I agree with his job at all or what he does, but at the very least, he doesn't seem to be lying. I mean, he seems like he's telling the truth. He's telling you exactly what he's doing.
And like Mike Helmick and I were talking, and when we first started talking, I was like, why are they letting this stuff slip out? And he's like, it's not slipping out. They just don't care.
Right.
And
yes, it's what I've talked about.
That's the truth. They don't care, obviously, because me and you could paste Earths over black backgrounds and not have any, square boxes show up around everything, which we're going to show later on. It's very easy to avoid. What's their budget? Over $50 million a day, and they can't hire somebody who's got a computer graphics, degree in college, and they don't know what a transparent background is.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
They don't know what a PNG file is, but they can't do that.
They
just don't care.
money. They don't care because I've talked about it before. It's the whole 90%, 10% rule that once you're at a 90% of the world believing something and the 10% that don't, they think that will police itself. So the 10% speaking out saying, hey, this is horseshit, will get squashed down by the 90% who protect, they're enslavers, in my opinion, to protect NASA, the ones that we are saying, hey, these people are lying to you in every way possible, and the 90% go around protecting them.
And now I do have Photoshop on my other computer. I haven't actually put it onto this computer yet, so I'm just using Photoscape for right now. But I wanted to show you guys a very obvious example. They do this on many Earth images. This is supposed to be taken from the moon, from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, right? That's supposed to be the Earth. And anyway, Rob Simon, the guy who made the Blue Marble, he was actually credited for basically, what's the word I'm looking for? He modifies it. They don't say he creates it. They'll say, no, he just fixed it up a little bit. No, he did exactly what he just told us in the previous article that he does. Now watch the background here. Look at this square show up right around the image. This, did he lie? Didn't he tell us that this is what they do?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see this, right? You can see it clearly. What is the need to paste this over a black background if you're already taking it over a black background in space?
Right.
So what they're telling us is they took this photo, there was a black background behind it, which was space. They took the Earth off of it and then put it back over a black background.
And that FTP server
and it has to be.
It has to be. That FTP server that I was showing the other night that I know you've dug into even deeper has these ball Earth pictures, and they are exactly cropped circular. And they're just taking that image and putting it over a black background, which
Yeah.
makes no sense at all.
And how lazy is this? So what this means is he took a transparent Earth with no background. He pasted this over this what we're seeing as a white background, which was originally black, and then pasted that over another black background. So just, you know what I mean? This inner box here should have been the only layer of space, and then you wouldn't have even known. That would have just been space. But because he put it over another black background, you can see. And like I said, they don't hide this, right? They admit that this is what they do. There is no denying it. They admit it. So when people are like, "Oh, you found something on NASA," no, they put this out there. If you just look a little bit, you'll see this is how they do it.
And luckily, Archer will be able to show some stuff that we were looking at the other night. Pictures supposedly from Mars or from Cassini. And when you do the same thing and kind of turn up the dials on various websites you can go to where you can look at ELA data, which is air level analysis, which will show you where changes have been made, and you'll see that these are just pasted in images. Now, can they be called composite images? Again, sure, they're composite images. They're a combination of many images into one. But that should definitely...
they're a combination of different modeling software.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Combination of.
They can
look,
call it images
this
all
was
they want.
also supposed to be from the LRO. Same thing we just saw, and this it's just crazy. There's no explanation for this other than they're doing what they told us they were doing. Look at this. Now, if you just increase the brightness, normal, just a normal brightness, you don't really see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until, which I could be using levels and curves, which would reveal it a little bit more. But they don't even hide this. So not only is the Earth pasted in, but the moon is also pasted in. This stuff right here is above the moon. The moon's, right here. So what's this? So they literally took this layer of some computer graphic model, and that's the foreground. And then they took this, is the blue marble. They tell you it's not the blue marble, that it's real time. It's not. It's the same thing as the blue marble, just from a different angle. And then he tilted the box. Yeah, I guess that's to get that 23.4% tilt, right?
Yeah, I have no idea.
That's why the box is tilted. So, I mean, yeah, I wish more people would go through many of these pictures and look for themselves and do many of the same things and see just how many times you see how poorly they fail to cover up the box. And the only conclusion I can come up with is that they do not care. They're lazy. I mean, $52 million a day, and they can't hide this.
No, and people love it too much to question it, and that's the scariest part. Is that all of us did? I don't think anybody ever saw pictures of the Earth and weren't in awe at some point of the idea of this sphere Earth in the middle of the blackness of space, and they just sold us a lie. And a lot of us have seen that and said, okay, well, as pretty as it may have been, or as pretty as your little pictures of Saturn are, they're not real. And so it's the same as watching Star Wars or Star Trek. Yeah, it may be visually enticing, but by no means is it a actual representation of where we live. And that's not cool, that somebody has decided to take it upon themselves to tell us a lie and tell us that's where we live and this is reality. And then when we come out questioning it, we're the ones damned and looked at as being idiots because we no longer accept what is clearly a fabrication.
Yeah, and the older Apollo images, and you can actually go back through the old Internet archives, back to the 90s, when NASA uploaded Apollo images, and some of it still remains, and the images are different versions than the ones that are up now. And people like to act like, oh, look at all these raw images they uploaded from the Apollo program. No, they're not raw. They've been on the Internet for decades and have been uploaded, re-uploaded, taken down, re-uploaded. The boxes that we're seeing around the planet were visible, easily visible on the old Apollo images, and they've actually been caught removing boxes from things. So they literally have somebody that just goes through and tries to touch it up. But then I realized that at some point, they only really wanted to do that with the Apollo images. All the other ones, they just don't care. Right. It's just the ones that went to the moon, those are the ones that took top priority. But this one's from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter 2. and we have the same problem. I wanted to show you. There's so many things wrong with this. Not only are these shadows not real, I mean, you could see the boxes everywhere, but the Earth, we're talking about the Earth box. I mean, this is something that you can clearly see if you just do a little bit of research. Just, you know, increase the gamma brightness and the backlighting, and you'll get this. You'll see the box. This doesn't happen with something emitting true light. This is not, you know, square light coming off of the Earth. This is a box. This is, like I said, to some people this may seem crazy, but like we just read the article where he told you, Rob Simon told you, this is how they do it, and he's not lying. He's telling us the truth. This is your piece of crap box Earth. Maybe we live on a square. I don't know.
Yeah, and some of the images that Archer will get here in a bit, which I had never seen either, was the ones from Mars, which are, I just looked at and said, okay, that's fake, and went about my way. But he's actually dug in deeper and proven it. So, I mean...
Yeah, well, what possible explanation would there be, to do this, if you were really taking a picture?
Yeah, there is none. I mean, it's just like the images in that FTP server that are cloud data or whatever, that they may try and explain it away in some fashion, but they've got pictures of the clouds that don't contain the ground below it. And they've got, it's just all pieces of data, computer-generated data, that are combined to give us what we think are true representations of the Earth. And anybody who's been looking at this for any amount of time, it's obvious that the images of the Earth are not photographs. It's just obvious.
No, and so they'll have you believe, which the NASA fans will believe this. They'll believe that they did take this photo of the moon and the Earth, but then they took the Earth out and the moon out, and then pasted them back over a black background.
Right, because there's a real reason to do that.
Well, he told you on the page. He said, what does he say? It's simply a background of black color. This is standard practice. Yeah, he said it's simply that's just what they have to do. He said that's to make it look, makes it look better, which doesn't make sense because it should be black anyway.
So what does it look like if you didn't do that? And where
it would look the same, right?
And where are those images? Why can't we see those?
Yeah, show us what it looks like before, before and after, but they don't do that. And so many people have been convinced. And NASA doesn't have to release hardly anything. You've seen this pale blue dot image. Carl Sagan made it real famous. He's like, here's where we live.
Right.
This is it. This is Earth. Carl Sagan probably took this picture on a stage somewhere near a strobe light, and that's like a piece of dust, But that just goes to show you, that's all it takes to convince people that speck is Earth. That's where you live. And it's so sad that that's all it takes. NASA can just release a speck of dust and nobody questions it.
Right, because they're scientific.
This is science. That's the Earth. Can't you tell? What else could it be? Couldn't be a star or dust or anything like that.
And that's looking through the rings. So
I don't know what I'm not sure what this is. This obviously comes from the sun, or maybe this is another planet that has different rings. I don't know.
But, I don't know either.
No, this was taken from millions of miles away. It's supposed to be, and I'm sure if you could get in close enough, you could see. I mean, they don't even have to paste that in. They probably just, like I said, this is just a piece of dust.
Yeah.
That's just literally a piece of dust. That's the Earth. How do you know that? Just be honest and ask yourself, how do you know that? You don't. There's no way to know.
And that's what it always comes down to is, again, just to kind of bring this back to the other day in the video I just released, to the problem I have with imaging Polaris like we do. And I've already started to hear the rumors going around and what's going to be their comeback. Their comeback is going to be that it's too far to model. The idea of where Polaris is and where the Earth is too far to model. So again, what they're saying is that you have a choice. You can either believe men who tell you the way things are and where you live, and it's not modelable. It's not able to be modeled. It's not able to be experimented. It's not able to be shown as a test. It is just what they tell you, period. And you can't model it, but you better believe it, because somebody like me who points this out is an idiot because I don't understand the scale. When what they're saying the scale is absolutely impossible to show. Of course, that's the
But
point.
it has to be modeled.
Has to be.
Has to be.
Or else it's up to you to believe it. I mean, for me, if you can't show me something, and think of everything that they show us, everything can't be modeled. You can't model the sun, moon, earth system. You can't model the size of the sun and how it interacts gravitationally with the earth and the moon. You can't model any of that because they've made the sizes so astronomical. There's that word for you. But they've made it so that it cannot be modeled. And that's why they made the stars as far as they are. Because this way, there's nothing that you can say to disprove them. It comes down to your word versus theirs. They say it is this way. You say it's not. They say, well, sorry, we've got all these scientists who agree.
And they use, and Globers love to use, the argument from authority. It's a huge fallacy.
Right.
Right? An argument, whether it's good or not, doesn't matter, where the authority figure comes from. If it's a practical argument, the authority doesn't matter. And that's sadly what we've ingrained in kids in school, is that you're a kid, you're not an authority figure, therefore your question doesn't have any weight. And we carry that all the way into adulthood, right? And now as an adult, you say, well, that doesn't make sense. And they say, well, it's not going to make sense to you because you're not a rocket scientist. So
Right.
You can't understand it. Only they can do it.
Now, that would make sense if the argument was that, because once you become a rocket scientist, you actually go and you model and you test these things in a lab, and maybe I haven't been privy to that kind of information or that kind of model. That's not what they're saying. Basically, what they're saying is that these men have studied the books that have been laid out for them, and you haven't. But regardless, neither one of us have ever seen a model of this existing. That it's just they have read the books more carefully and spent more time understanding the lie than I have. That's all it comes down to. It's not a matter of, oh, these guys have got to go out and they've got to see how this all works together. No, I'm not doubting that it works mathematically. I'm not doubting that in the least bit. It wouldn't be a very good lie if it didn't. The fact that it all works and everything doesn't mean anything. I mean, I could tell you on mathematics, I could tell you on a piece of paper that I ran to New York and back, and I could tell you exactly how long it took, and I could do it mathematically, work it all out exactly when I got back, and there you go. There's my proof that I ran to New York and back. Now, that's not proof that I actually did it in physical reality. That's not proof that it can even be done in physical reality. Where's the mathematical equations for how tired I got, how much muscle mass you'd need to have to do that? What about my time needing to sleep? That's the kind of thing we're talking about, that just because things work mathematically doesn't mean that they exist.
Yeah. And it's funny because they'll say, like, as soon as you start to investigate these things, they'll say, well, who are you? To question, like, the majority of these people agree. Science has never been based off of consensus, right? It's not supposed to be, right? Even in their history, for the longest time, the Earth was flat. Everybody knew it was flat. And, using their logic, if science was consensus based, it would have always stayed and accepted as a flat model. It was literally a few people that questioned it, right? And that's because science is not based off consensus. So when we question what's the majority, what's accepted in the majority, they act like we should just bow down because the general consensus is this, and that's just not science.
Right, it's the opposite of science. And what science, the great thing about science, or what science thrives on, is people challenging the current accepted truth. That's how you get closer to the truth, is that when there is a truth that is being accepted by people on a mass scale, it's going to take somebody coming along and saying, well, no, what if we do it this way? What if we rework it this way? And that's how you get closer to the truth. What they're doing is they're blocking that and saying, nope, we've already found the truth. We don't want to hear any more from you.
Yeah, exactly. And you can literally show thousands of these paste jobs, but I think they get the point with that. But this is, for those who haven't seen, this is the Titan footage, which I think Globe, right, on the last on the last episode of Globebusters.
Right.
They filmed the entire descent all the way down on Titan. And how far away is Titan? Like 1 billion miles, right? Mm-hmm. Very far. Supposed to be that far away, what they tell us. Let's look at this Titan surface picture. And it's funny, they can get a very clear picture on the surface of Titan. Okay. As far away as this is, and I've asked this for the longest time, if they can if they can get down here on the surface of Titan and it's that far away, they can film the entire descent, which is obviously a CGI movie, but they claim it's real. So let's look at this picture. You can see rocks very clearly, right? I mean, they can see tiny rocks. Why can't they do this with the Apollo moon landing sites?
Right. And you're a scientific entity. You are claiming to be, in every way possible scientific and true. And you've got, let's say it's 20% of the country that is questioning the moon landings. Why wouldn't you just, to put it in everybody's face and quiet the dissenters, just send a simple probe that went and landed just like this and showed pictures of exactly where the rover was
it's
left?
It's not like a human being's going to die. You just send an unmanned probe.
Right. Yeah, and the cost
Just-
on that would be relatively cheap in by all scales that they're able to deal with, which is $52 million a day. Instead, they'd rather spend their money on an orbiting tin can that goes in circles around the Earth and has for 17 years, and they've never added anything. And I know Archer and I were talking the other night. We said, ask yourself the question, or ask somebody who's a space fan the question: what has NASA provided the human race? What has the orbiting tin can provided the human race that we wouldn't have discovered or utilized otherwise? They've done nothing, and I think it's up to like $150 billion that thing has cost, and it's just outrageous. It's outrageous that people accept it and they think. I've heard Red's Rhetoric call those people heroes before. The people in the ISS are heroes.
Look at this. Did you read the name of the article? It says real or fake. 10 years ago, humans landed a probe on Titan. So, I mean, they have articles all the time where people say, is it real or fake? Turns out it looks fake, but it's real. Right?
Because somebody told you.
Yeah, but so why can't they get this to land down near the flag? The flag's on the moon. And they left all the cameras, right? Every single Hasselblad camera was left on the moon. I mean, why? They just took the film out and just threw the cameras out?
I thought the craziest thing is that the PLU backpacks, so Aldrin and Armstrong, they get back into the LEM, and then they threw out their PLU backpacks, which to me doesn't even make sense. I don't understand. It's like,
how do you throw it out?
They say
you've already repressurized the LEM.
Yeah, that's what they say. They hooked back into the LEM system, but I mean, it just makes no sense because they didn't know they were going to be able to take off. So why would you throw those out? What if you went to, if you went to take off?
Yeah, don't you want to survive and wait on another group to come up, maybe, or
right? Like they're just cashing it in. I guess we're gonna die if this doesn't work. Makes no sense at all.
But it's so funny because they left the cameras, right? And then I've recently found an article right after Neil Armstrong died. His wife found his the camera that filmed the one small step in his closet for the first time. You tell them as long as they lived together, she didn't know that there was a camera in the closet. And it's just ridiculous. So did he steal government property? But it doesn't make any sense why they would have left the cameras on the moon to begin with. Every single one was left. Why? Why shouldn't they be in like museums? Like, oh, here are the photography museums or whatever, or just history museums. Here are the first cameras on another world.
Right.
No, we leave them there. You know what I mean? It would have been cool. But they actually brought up 150 nation flags.
And what did they do with those? Leave them there?
And a flag from every one of the states in the U.S. And we never saw those, but they had them on board, I'm sure. But do you actually know where they stored the American flag? This blew my mind. They didn't bring it with them inside.
No, where'd they store it?
They stored it beneath the ladder.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they stored it beneath the ladder. And when you look at how it looks when it's like in a compartmentalized state, it's only like not even 3 feet. And they stored it. They said they stored it behind the ladder to protect it from like the heat from descent. I'm like, then put it inside.
And imagine that you go up there once and you stay for 2 hours, which is the Apollo 11. Then you go up there twice and you stay up for 4 hours. Then the next time they took a car with them and drove it miles around, and that was all
And
50
it didn't
years
even
ago.
go much faster than they could walk.
No, and that was 50 years ago.
And what a
actually,
waste of weight, right? I mean,
right.
remember the tyranny of the rocket equation? Isn't that kind of unnecessary?
Oh, yeah, I've actually seen some pretty good evidence that shows that it's impossible. Somebody's done the math on the, I can actually find that info, but somebody's done the math on the amount of fuel needed and the thrust needed with the Saturn V, and NASA already debunks themselves.
Well, just look at his face in this picture when he's warming up for the moon mission. Does he? I mean, look at his face. That look a guy that's confident in what he's about to do. And if you haven't seen the press conference, it is.
Oh,
I
yeah,
actually
that's one of
put
the
I
best.
put it on my channel. The best parts about it, where they actually when he said he couldn't see stars, and then what's his name? The guy that stayed in the orbit around the moon.
Collins.
Collins, yeah. He's like, I don't remember seeing any stars. But the thing is, he never went on the surface. But if he's orbiting the moon, there are times where he's supposed to be going to the dark side of the moon, where there's no sunlight, no sun rays. He should be able to see stars on that side, right? And he's like, I don't remember seeing any.
Oh, and then you even see the little elbow. Like,
And
don't,
then
don't
and then
say
he
that.
yeah, and then he elbows him
Right.
and whispers something like he's not supposed to talk. I think they had planned for Neil Armstrong to do all the talking. And their reaction when Collins was asked a direct question, they were like, "Oh my God, please
say
don't
that."
ask him a question because he's stupid."
And Collins
Like,
is funny. He'll actually say some funny shit all the time about it. He likes to kind of throw in little bits about, one interview I saw him and they said, what is it like when you look up at the moon? How do you feel? And he says, well, when I'm coming home and I look up at the moon, I can look at it and I can pretend I've been there or I can pretend I haven't, and it works either way. That was his answer to that question. It's like, how would that be your answer?
they say the dumbest things. Yeah, I found the CBS broadcast where they were interviewing Neil Armstrong's wife while he was still on the moon. He hadn't even returned yet. She was not even the least concerned. And they actually asked her, like, "Aren't you worried about your husband's safety?" She's like, "No." Like, what? He's the first person on another world. Like, what? She's just like smiling and laughing. Russian Viz would probably do a good job with the footage, but yeah, it was like ridiculous. Like, she genuinely didn't care. Like, not a big deal. Because she knew it was already rehearsed. It had already been filmed. Of course, it wasn't aired live like everybody believes. Which a lot of the people that try to debunk it, they say, well, they couldn't have filmed it. They couldn't have faked it because to do it live would have been like this. Like, no, well, this didn't do it live. They just
Right.
broadcast it live. And how long does it take to get to the moon? Like 3 days?
Yeah.
3 days there, 3 days back. And they spent like, what, hours on the moon? So there's almost 7 days worth of footage. Right? Have you seen that much footage?
No, but
No.
towards the end missions, they're even doing much. They're doing days on the moon.
Days on the moon. Yeah. And you don't see even a fraction of that time. Okay.
No.
You see, the only thing you see is when they land, you have the camera that was mounted on the outside that filmed the one small step. And what's funny is that's the only thing that actually captured Neil Armstrong on the moon. Did you know that?
Yeah, he didn't allow any pictures of himself to
Yeah,
be
there are no
released.
pictures of him. You see like one reflection. And yeah, so Buzz Aldrin's walking around just taking, he's like, I got to take a picture of my foot. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
One of the sites everyone should check out is aulis.com. It's AULIS. And again, it's a site that I'm sure believes in the ball Earth and believes in the idea of space and everything, but they do an absolute excellent job at completely destroying and smashing the entire idea of the moon landings. And I'll just read you a short spot here from Jay Widener is his name. And he says, whether we actually went to the moon or not has never been proven. What is clear, however, is that the photographic evidence taken on the surface of the moon is faked and shot in a studio. There's clear evidence in the photographs of a Hollywood technique called front screen projection. Front screen projection
Yep.
was a technique used in the 60s and 70s and even into the late 80s. Now largely replaced by green screening and other digital technologies, front screen projection was the best way during those years to shoot inside the studio but make it look like the actors are somewhere else. For instance,
Yeah.
the scenes from the movie 1978 Superman, where Christopher Reeves is flying, those are done by front
They
screen
did
projection.
They did it in the late 1800s. That technique
Correct.
has been going on for a long time. Even Ben-Hur from 1925, they filmed one scene of horses, like, the guys riding on horses, and they filmed another scene of a guy in the foreground
Right.
riding his horse, and then superimposed them together like it was a horse race, and you still today can't tell that it's not one shot.
And it's exactly what was used.
And it looks amazing still.
And it's exactly what was used and perfected in '66 by Stanley Kubrick and the making of 2001: A Space Odyssey. So
Have you seen the matte painting technique as well? Which a lot of times they back in the day they had guys who could actually paint these backgrounds.
no, I haven't seen
Um,
anything on that.
oh my gosh.
But it just says that, many people are surprised by this because the front screen projecting techniques was done so masterfully by Kubrick that the apes actually look like they're out in a desert somewhere. But it's the same fingerprints that they find in all of the moon landings. And that's why a lot of people are iffy on whether or not Kubrick taped the moon landing film. I mean, what I think was done is they went and they watched and helped a lot with 2001 Space Odyssey, and then they simply stole the ideas and went and did it themselves. And that's why throughout his entire life you have Kubrick, who was afraid to come out and admit that he knew that they faked it, because it would have been his word against theirs. It would have been him saying, I think they stole my technique and that's what you're getting for your moon landings. And they would have just laughed at him and said, what are you talking about? You're crazy. And they would have killed him. So he had a choice, and that's why he tried to hide everything in his other movies. That's why he made Eyes Wide Shut come out 30 years to the day that they went to the moon. The reason why is because he was trying to make a point, trying to tell people, and he actually died before that even happened, before that movie was even released.
This is a matte technique. This whole scene and many of the scenes in Star Wars are not even real. They're painted. Mm-hmm. This is a painting. And like, here's the guy that did it. And guess what? This guy, I think this is Ralph McQuarrie. He's the one who did many of these scenes for Star Wars. He worked for CBS during the Apollo broadcast.
Imagine that.
Can you? Yeah. Wonder what he was doing. Yeah. So.
And other liars like Cronkite taking off his glasses and wiping his eyes as if he's crying. Those guys are so.
Oh my gosh, we finally did it, guys. But we're not going to go back for a while.
Yeah, and even you can listen to Werner von Braun and those guys saying
good at the matte painting technique.
They say they'll be back in 10 years. They'll be back, and we'll be at Mars by 1990. And people just forget all about that. They'll just let it go because Neil deGrasse says it's because we don't have the money or whatever. They're spending the money the wrong way, and well, of course they are. Look at the kind of nonsense they put their money into, billions of dollars to send probes to. I mean, why are we sending probes to anywhere else? So why are we out there studying these exoplanets? And we found TRAPPIST-7, and well, who cares? What could that possibly do for us? What could it ever?
I want to be a
possibly
data
do?
visualizer.
Yeah, it'd be a fun job, wouldn't it?
What does that mean?
It means you get to get data, and then you get to fake it. You get to
they don't know that the data they're getting is genuine. They don't know that.
No, and that's the thing about all the science.
That's the beauty about it.
Yep.
That's what's so great.
That's why the whole thing with Wizard of Oz and the man behind the curtain. I understand why scientists have a hard time accepting or looking into this. It's because you put all your time and effort into building a satellite, and then you hand it off to NASA, and they say they're going to launch it up, and you get to go home and watch on TV some rocket going up in the air. So you assume that that's gone. And then the next day when you show up at work, you're receiving data. And you say, okay, well, this data has to be from the satellite that I sent up. But what people don't understand is that it's all mathematics. And since it's mathematics, that stuff could have been programmed months ago. And there's no way you would know the difference because you're only getting data.
Which they admit they have supercomputers like the Discover supercomputer that can do weather projections months ahead of time. And if they can do what they say they can do, then they can upload what you think is a real-time Earth image weeks ago.
Oh, absolutely. And you've seen that. I showed it in that FTP where it even showed climate data for up to 2099. That
text box is starting to cover more of the...
Oh, can it go away? There it goes.
Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, so you have a camera, right? What type of camera do you have?
I have a Sony CyberShot DVC or something, 800 or 200V. It's a good one. It's one of the better cameras. It's kind of the top of the line non-DSLR camera.
Yeah, not the quality of the CyberShot U that they used on Mars. No, well, which we'll get into later. But
yeah, show that.
We were going to show them that, yeah. But you've taken pictures. Do you ever shoot manual mode? Which I don't know if anybody knows, but I went to photography school for a while. I did a lot of photography, and I always shot exclusively manual mode, which back in the day, there was no automatic on the camera. You had to do the shutter speed manually, the aperture manually, the focus ring manually, and the shutter, they enlarged the shutter button for them right here. There's no viewfinder, so you can't look through the camera and see what you're taking a picture of, and you can't see after you took the picture what you took a picture of. You have to get every shot right the first time.
Yeah, let's talk
And
about that real quick, because make sure everyone understands what you're saying. That the cameras that were used on the moon missions had no.
yeah, this is it. This is the picture of this is it. It was mounted to their chest.
Right.
So it was mounted to the chest. They can't look through. They removed the viewfinder that there was because it was unnecessary. They can't see it, so every shot's taken from the chest. And see, they had an idea supposedly of what exposure they were supposed to use, but that doesn't matter. Any photographer on Earth, it can be taking pictures at midday. You have to use a faster shutter speed because it's brighter outside, right?
Right.
You know that. Probably 4 or 500th of a second even, depending on how bright it is. But you don't ever go out there and just have it on manual and take a picture and it's the right exposure. You're gonna have to take a few. And in photography, that's called bracketing. When you use manual, this is what you have to do. You see the shutter speed decreasing and increasing. So he would take one with what they think the lighting should be, and then he would increase the shutter speed, and then he would decrease the shutter speed. So you'd have 4 or 5 shots at least of the same thing. They didn't do that. Every shot was the right exposure, and it wasn't until the 3rd or 4th Apollo mission that you actually saw some that were really bright. It's like they realized the pictures were too good. Like, oh wait, and the shutter only misfired one time on Apollo 11, and they're wearing pressurized gloves. Okay, you're wearing gloves that you can't hardly squeeze your hand in, which there's good evidence to believe that a glove that's has 4 pounds of pressure on it, you couldn't even make a fist on it.
So you wouldn't even know if you pressed the picture button or not.
And there's no way to hear it. So as they tell us, there's no sound space. They wouldn't have heard it. They wouldn't have known. So wouldn't you, if you were there, you're the first people, first guy on the moon, you're taking pictures. Wouldn't you click the shutter button a few times just to make sure you got a picture?
Absolutely.
They didn't do that.
Yeah, you would have to.
No, he just walked around, clicked it one time, and clicked it one time. And the thing that I still don't understand is that the focus is manual. That is crazy. So the subject changes distances from you, like you're standing right by the flag or right by this, but then you turn around, take a picture of something over here. You got to change the focus manually. You can't look through and see what you're doing. And even though they've supposedly practiced on Earth, that's their excuse. Like, oh, they practiced before they went. I don't care. No photographer on Earth can do what these guys did with a camera. Nobody can do it. Like if I just set up a scene out in a desert at midday and gave you a camera and said, don't look through it. Don't look at the photos after you take it. I put it on manual. I just put it on some random exposure and go take, 200 photos and don't overexpose any.
Good luck.
No, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. There's no way. And the focus one is probably the hardest thing to do because you can bracket a little bit with the shutter, but when you start getting involved with the focus, anybody who works with a camera, just, you have autofocus on. Go take your camera out. Put it on manual focus and just go try to take a picture of a house across the street without looking through the viewfinder on manual focus and see if it's in focus. It's not going to be. You're going to have to take several shots before you get it in focus. They didn't have that problem. They had supposedly like a guide, like if something's 6 feet away, you got to, I don't care. I don't care. They did not do what any photographer would have done. And it's ridiculous that they did all that so perfectly while they were doing their science experiments and all that other crap. It's impossible.
And again, I've still been asking people the same question, and I'll ask it again, that I have a document, page 88 and page 89 of the, basically it's the document that came out in 1963 talking about, it's from it says, working in close cooperation with NASA's Office of Technical Information and Education, the USIA Exhibits Division circulated to overseas posts these NASA-produced exhibits. And it lists a bunch of videos that were handed out to all these other countries. And there's one video called Shadows of Infinity. And it was the biggest one. It talks about it here, saying it was well accepted. I cannot find that video anywhere. And so I'm just asking people to look for it, try and find it, because that's the kind of thing that obviously has some evidence of the fakery, and they've erased all existence of it. The only mention I've ever heard of it is in this one document, and it describes it as being well received by over 80 countries. Yet there's no copy of it anywhere. And somebody sent in, I found one other guy who was looking for it as well, sent in a Freedom of Information Act request for it, and NASA returned they have no evidence of that existing. Yet this document clearly says that they sent it to 80 countries.
Wow. Yeah. And see, I've spent a lot of time looking into the moon landings and the technical aspects of, because like I said, I had enough experience with photography. That was the thing I felt I had the most understanding of. So it's okay. So that's what I'm going to look into. And then I looked at where they filmed, where they practiced filming, where they practiced their geology. Okay.
Crater
This
Lake.
is actually this is Apollo 17. And you know what the name of this crater is?
Moon crater.
This is Lunar Crater, Nevada. Of all the places, they're going to film in a place called Lunar Crater.
Yeah.
They're going to look at them wearing their backpacks. Yeah, just taking some practice shots with our camera. Yeah, of course. Look at them. They're looking at the shots. This is no way. But of course, most of these guys were actually geologists. So it's my theory that they collected rocks in highly volcanic areas that had volcanic, volcanic past or even a currently active volcanic area. They collected rocks that would pass to other geologists as kind of rare on Earth, had rare materials. But they also, you can read articles, that written by Jet Propulsion Laboratory, where they actually blew up rocks to simulate meteor impact. Because when a geologist would read under a microscope a rock, they could tell if something was hit pretty hard. So they were trying to simulate, because the moon's all these rocks would have impact signatures supposedly. So they actually mimicked it years before they went to the moon by just dropping bombs on volcanic rock.
Or lighting them from underneath, which gives you that same kind of appearance. And I wanted to say thanks to Michael T. Pyle, who sent in a donation. Thank you very much. Says, keep up the great work, and please limit your cursing the Bible. Thank you. I will do that for you. Jason Lucas said, Jeran, faith, all my heart. Thank you for all you do. I respect and appreciate your work so much. Not that it's a competition, but you are the best and most well-researched. No, well, I'm not. But there's so many people now looking into this that it's going to get exposed. And there's a lot of people like Flat Earth Math and a lot of people like Wolfie6020. There's going to be a ton of people out there that are going to protect their belief in space till the end of time, that they're just never going to see. But there's so many people with open minds that can do their own research, that can come to their own conclusions, and that's what these guys are so afraid of. A lot of people will say, oh, Jeran, you went to a Jesuit school, you went to a Jesuit high school, therefore you're just like, and I'll tell you that my going to a Jesuit high school is even more proof of what I've seen, is that I was taken from religious class and put right into biology, and was shown evolution when I just got done learning about creation. So all these things kind of confused me, and that's why I ultimately kind of gave up on schooling. But now it's so clear to see what happened is that they want you.
Many of us have a background and things that we're not that proud of, and we've gotten away from it, but it does in no way make us a shill.
No. And again, you judge people off their content and what they do and how they operate their lives. And for me, I just now see clearly what's going on. You have a group of people who want you in one category or the other. They want you in the religious category, or they want you in the science category, because in either one of those categories, you can get stuck into not using your own mind, to not making your own decisions, to not coming to your own conclusions. If you believe in science, like Flat Earth Math, you don't use your own mind to come to your own conclusions. You use your mind to rationalize things that science tells you and to make sure that it all fits in that scientific box. Much like somebody who's a diehard, church-attending Catholic will take their world and kind of squish it all into that Catholic box. The people that they're most fearful of are the people who can look at the whole board, take everything that they see, and then make up their own minds, because those are the people that ultimately are going to see the truth. One thing I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you've ever seen this, that article from telegraph.co.uk that says that the fake moon landing would have been exposed within 4 years, scientists concludes. So I just want to bring this up because I think it's hilarious, is that this doctor, Dr. David Grimes from Oxford University, says that he did it mathematically and figured out the odds of a conspiracy being held in and for how long they could be held in. But here's the part nobody thinks about. If there is a conspiracy that nobody has ever let known, if there's a secret, then nobody would know. So how the hell would you figure out mathematically what are the chances that a secret gets let out if there's secrets right now that have never been let out? You couldn't include those in your mathematical formulas. You would never know because they haven't been let out.
No, I mean the misconception is that everybody that's employed at NASA has access to
Correct.
some sort of documentation that would prove it.
Yep.
That's just not true at all either.
It says, since the late 2000s, photographs taken by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter of the Apollo landing sites have captured the lander, modules, and the tracks left by astronauts. And you can go look at those. They are classic.
I've seen them. Yeah, there's like a pitch black shadow around that, but nothing else.
Yeah, and then it says here, back on Earth, a climate change conspiracy with 405,000 conspirators based on scientists and staff at institutions like the Royal Society and the American Association for the Advancement of Science would have lasted just 3 years and 9 months. The fact that anybody thinks that that is any kind of a study or any kind of science, to say simply, oh, well, there would have to be 405,000 conspirators, that only those would know about it, and that there's no way they could ever have kept a secret. How could you ever do any kind of scientific study on how long a secret would last? I'm sure everyone that's listening to this probably has some secret that they know that no one else knows. So if somebody was going to do a mathematical equation into how many secrets have been let out and how long you can keep a secret, well, they can't use any of the information you have in your head because you've never let that secret out. So it's just ridiculous that people think that these kind of things, just because science says, right? Have you ever seen, how many articles do you see? Science says, science discovered.
Or no, they say scientists theorize, or scientists believe. That's my favorite one.
Right, or scientists prove. It's just,
no, believe. Most of it says believe.
Right.
That's my favorite.
But
They believe.
I thought scientists don't believe
when they
things.
believe, it's better than when we believe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, real better.
Did you see this? Not a lot of people know that they went to Iceland. This is Neil Armstrong. Which, how did they know what the moon was going to even look like? But they're like, yeah, this looks like the moon. You know, I was talking about volcanic rock, and I made a video about this. This was my theory, that they went to these places not to prepare for the moon, but to collect rocks that would pass as moon rocks. Right? And look what they said about it. It said, all the lunar landing crews benefited from examination of the varied rock assemblages found in glacial outwash channels that resemble the complexities of the lunar surface debris layer. So they're saying, you know, what the geologists believed would be on the moon, based on what they've been told. They just went out and collected stuff that resembled it. And yeah, see, they gained insights from exposure to the varieties of newly formed volcanic rocks. And that's what they were saying was, you know, was going to be like the moon rocks. What's funny, you know, they went to the Grand Canyon, they went to Hawaii, Alaska Meteor Crater, they went to Lunar Crater also. Cinder Lake, where they actually blew up the desert to have an exact replica of the landing site, which nobody does that. Like if you're like in the military, right, and you're going to like plan an invasion on like a town, would you build an entire replica of like every building, every store, every street, every?
I wouldn't.
You know, no. It's just, but they not only did they, you know, put every crater there, they put the dimensions there too. Like the distances apart they should be and everything. That's just way too much. And what Neil Armstrong said in this article, this just blew my mind away. He said, we went to Hawaii, went to Iceland, great places to focus on volcanic rocks. They're just collecting rocks. But he said the assumption was that on the moon, we would encounter tectonic formations or remnants of volcanic and tectonic lava flows. He said, I was very tempted to sneak a piece of limestone up there with us on Apollo 11 and bring it back as a sample.
I've never seen that. Oh my God.
He said that. He said, what he's saying is, if I handed you a rock from Iceland, you would, and told you it was from the moon, you'd believe me. And he just said that. This is a quote from Neil Armstrong.
That is classic. I've never seen that quote.
Yeah, he said, I was tempted to do it. So well, I mean, we know they did. This is why they were there. This is why they went to Hawaii and Arizona. They went to places that all had volcanic activity, collected the rocks that would be the most moon-like, and then that's, you know, what the geologists have studied. They're like, oh yeah, these are kind of rare. You know, these contain kind of rare elements and stuff that aren't really common on Earth, except in volcanic areas.
Oh boy.
And that's why they went there. But yeah, he literally said, you know, you wouldn't know the difference. And yeah, I think he might have accidentally grabbed a piece of wood though in Iceland.
Petrified wood. Yeah, that's their favorite.
Yeah, that's him pointing at he's like, that looks like a place where he could film, right?
Jeez.
He's like, look over there. That's a tree. we could use as a sample.
I'm going to show something real quick, so I'm going to switch screens off you. You can find what you want
All
next.
right, let me. I'm going to stop sharing so you can share.
Oh no, you can keep sharing
Oh,
because I'm just showing this picture of the. It's a studio picture, obviously, and it's got the big balloon, big helium balloon tied to what I'm assuming is going to be an astronaut. Wherever this image was taken from, I'm not really sure, but it helped me to really start to understand. Okay, wait a second. So if you put a helium balloon, and tied it to my back, and correctly weighted out that helium balloon, you could create 1/6 gravity. Now I'm showing an image of Apollo 17 here, or a video, and if we watch this, you'll actually see that when this guy is doing things, you can tell that he is tied to a balloon here. And I'll actually show you where he's going to get tangled. Here he goes. He's going to go. Now picture, he just tangled himself in the cord. Now look at this other astronaut. He comes over and has to untangle him by saying, okay, get up, spin this way.
yeah. Why would he be doing that?
Right. And then watch his hand here. Oops. Man, that one didn't show as much as usually it does. Let me see.
Yeah, I mean, would you be jumping like that and rip your suit and die?
Never. Not unless you're on Earth where you're just attached to a balloon.
Wouldn't you carefully, maneuver everywhere you went?
You would
But
be
you see,
so careful.
did you see the video? There's videos of them just jumping as high as they could just for the heck of it.
Yep. Which is what you would do if you had one of those. And Miss and I have talked about it, if we can do it, because we've seen how much it costs to fill up a balloon, a helium balloon. But if I can figure out how much it would cost to fill up a helium balloon and then tie it to my back, I want to go out and I want to jump around and see if I can mimic exactly what these guys did on the moon, simply with a balloon of a certain weight holding me up. Because
they did it at Langley Air Force Base. They had a thing that held up 5/6 of the weight.
Right.
And that's
so I'd have to do
also
the math
another
on
way.
figuring out how that works. But right here,
Yeah.
this astronaut actually, you'll see here, he's got his hand out. Oh man, I have a better video of that. I'll have to see if I can find it. He holds his hand out in what is really confusing at first, and I actually had somebody keep emailing me and telling me the guy's helmet falls off. And I was like, really? I had to keep watching it to say, is that what's going on? And it's not what's going on. It looks like that he's having to untangle him from this little mess that he's got in. But when you watch these guys running and jumping around, clearly they've got a balloon stuck to their back, and that's why sometimes they'll even lean. And let me see if I can find any other good videos of it. But the whole time it's just, that's why they're able, you see this guy, they're able to kind of float a little bit. See this guy right here on the left? He's got a balloon attached to his backpack. Once you know that, then all these scenes make sense. That they're all just, and sometimes if you'll see somebody running, so let's picture you've got this balloon on your back, and you run in one direction, and you try and stop and change direction. Well, what's going to happen is
your momentum.
Your momentum, and that's what always happens with these guys, and that would not happen in a 1/6 G environment. That you would not have momentum that would cause you to have to stop, and then your body starts going that way any more than what happens on Earth. I mean, it would actually be more. And actually, I'll see if I can find any of those. But yeah, these images are just classic. Here's the thing taking off. Anybody who can watch this and says, nope, this is actual footage, this really happened, this took place, I don't want to call people crazy because I used to believe it too. But I just say that they simply are afraid of their own brains and afraid of their own minds, that there's no way they can look at this and say it looks real. They just have to accept it.
My favorite part of the moon landings is that how they never actually interact with the background.
No.
Ever. They never go touch a hill. They never do anything with it because that hill is a projection of either previously captured pictures on Earth in Nevada desert, and they basically made a huge composite wall on the back using that's a front screen projection, they did the matte painting technique. Either way, that background is not is flat, and they know it's flat. They're actually in a contained area, even though it looks like it keeps going. They're actually contained, and they never interact with it. But if you were there, they were really, really close to some pretty cool hills. When you got up there and looked back at the landing site and took some cool pics.
Yeah, and if you go to Ollis,
they don't touch it. They don't ever go anywhere close to it.
Nope.
I mean, and because they couldn't.
Right, and on Ollis.com, they actually show numerous positions where the parallax is completely wrong. That if that's a hill, we know how hills in the distance work. You can just go outside, go find a hill, and watch how it works when you walk by a telephone pole and how the back interacts with the front and how we get a parallax issue. Well, they don't have that. I mean, look at this image here. This is classic. This is supposedly them flying away from the moon. And looking out some window at the moon.
Well, that was filmed. That was filmed at Langley.
Yeah, with that big ball thing.
Yeah, that's at Langley. Yeah, that's a projection. And the scenes that are filmed looking out of a window, they're basically filming out of a real window, facing. They're basically filming a previously captured video on film of the model, and they're projecting that on the back screen, and they're looking out of a window. It's like, oh look, they're over the moon. It's just like when you look outside of your airplane window. But imagine if somebody put something else outside the window, it would look like you were over that. Well, that's what they did.
Right.
I'm actually screen sharing right now. I got a picture here of the Langley device.
Okay, I'll go and then I'll find and here's one example of these guys leaning, and
I like how he's looking right into the sun, but he don't have the visor down.
right. And I mean,
when Neil first got out, he's like, I'm going to be careful not to look directly into the sun because it was supposed to be so bright, on the moon. And you just saw the reflection coming off the visor, and a second ago, and the visor wasn't down. They could pull it down like sunglasses and pull it back up. There's actually a photo of Buzz Aldrin looking right into the sun on Apollo 11. Didn't even care the visor wasn't even down. I mean, nobody looks into the sun. I mean, I imagine looking at the sun on the moon would be just as bad or worse than looking at the sun on Earth, right?
Yep. And well, especially if you think of how bright the moon is on a full moon, and from Earth. Now look at this video. Where's the brightness? Where's the sun is shining on it just like it's a full moon? Does this look bright to you? Does this look like And see how this guy is acting. I mean, look at this right here. You can
notice
see
he's covered in what they call moon dust. Is actually just there's an area outside of Lunar Crater and outside of Cinder Lake. They have ash hills from volcanic ash that's mixed with the sand, and it's like a black sand, and it gets on you like ash, and that's what we're seeing on their legs.
Right. And I mean, look at this guy. You can tell he's attached to a balloon. It couldn't be more obvious. It's like once you realize that
he jumped and was leaning forward somehow in midair.
Right.
How does that happen?
How do you not move that way? Well, the balloon is holding him back.
What's he doing?
I don't even know. I think a lot of these guys were actually trying to whistle blow in their own way.
He's leaning forward.
Right. And a lot of this too.
It's like he's being pulled backwards, and he's having to resist the force of the balloon or whatever is holding him.
Right. And look at these guys. It's so funny.
It's like a football player pulling like a sled,
Yep. And
oh man,
a lot of this is done also with the same way they do spacewalk footage now, which is tilting the camera. These guys may not actually be leaning as much as the camera's leaned, but it still is obvious to me that they've each got a balloon attached to them. And what are they doing? I mean, these are like, they're just struggling the whole time. I think they were whistleblowing. I think they were trying to show numerous times, like trying to act a fool. I don't know if they were afraid of their lives if they would ever come out with it. But let me go back to you, and then I'll find the.
When they got back at the press conference, they asked Neil Armstrong. He was the commander of the mission. Like, how much oxygen and water did you have left in your supply? He's like, I haven't looked at the post-flight analysis. Like, what?
Like
does
you
a
wouldn't
scuba
have known
diver
that?
know how much air he's got?
Yeah, exactly. They know exactly how much they have left.
He didn't know. He didn't know the answer to that question. That alone. I was like, wow, you better know how much oxygen you have.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, your life's on the line.
He's like, I don't know. We probably had a little bit left.
I'm now sharing.
It don't matter.
I'm sharing your screen now, so go ahead.
Yeah, this is Langley Air Force Base. This is the device that never actually landed the lunar lander on Earth. I don't know if people know that. They never landed it. They never ever landed what they landed on the moon with on Earth, which would be easier because we have an atmosphere that we can use to thrust off. And you can read actually numerous papers written, at Jet Propulsion Laboratory. They were like, well, landing on the moon with the lander is a little bit more difficult, but because there's no air. And so they talk about the problems with thrust and propulsion in a vacuum or in a semi-vacuum openly before they went. You can go read the articles. But this is the thing that supported the device, and that's their little fake. Of course, this isn't what they used, but I do think they may have filmed the touchdown here from the camera that filmed like this from the side when they finally hit the ground. Mm-hmm. Could have been easily filmed there, but other scenes were filmed in other places. But Langley is a very interesting thing to look up, and for those that haven't seen the big moon model, that was at Langley Air Force Base also, which is here it is. Yeah, look at this. Look at this guy right here.
Oh, that's the guy painting the picture. Yeah, that's just projection.
Pilot seat. This is the pilot seat. Yeah, this is they had you can see it here too. I mean, they did a very critical job on this. Um, wow. But yeah, they
And the picture
when
that
people,
you should see it there, the picture that shows the big model with the track next to it is, I think, the most damning evidence that there is.
they call it. I think they called it Lola. Hold on, let me see. Langley Air Force Lola. I think that's what it was called. Um, oh yeah, here it is. Here's Lola. There you go. You see the roof, the rafters where they held the weight up.
Bring up that picture in
Yeah.
on the left side there with the guy with the little map he's painting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
look,
this is and
look at
there's
the
more than
track
one ball.
behind
There
him.
were I think 4 or 5 of these,
Yeah.
and
Look at the
so they
track.
would film. This was specifically for a camera,
Right.
and they would capture that footage and then project it over a screen, and then they would film outside, looking out of a window as if they were approaching this when this was just previously captured footage. So they actually would film an approach this way, and then flip the camera around, come back this way, and film this as if they're leaving the moon, and this side was like approaching the moon.
Right.
I mean, such detail went into this.
What would be the reason for doing that? Possibly, if you weren't going to fake it. I mean, you would never need to
Yeah,
do
I mean,
that.
this is it was supposed to be a flight simulator, and the pilot. They said this wasn't just for cameras. They actually would put the pilot, like Neil Armstrong. They would actually put them in this device, and would have it like simulate orbit. I don't know if that's it. Oh yeah, all kind of weird stuff. It don't make any sense. It don't make any sense. But they never landed. They never landed it on Earth.
And almost
Um,
killed Neil doing it.
No, and that wasn't even the lunar lander. That was the LLRV, which
Right.
is this thing, which was built by Bell Aerospace. This is not the lunar. Look at this. Looks nothing like it.
No.
You see where he's sit? He's not even inside of anything, right?
Nope.
It says this testing contributed to Apollo 11 success. How? This thing blew up.
Right. They
So
never
this
landed
blew
it.
this blew up, and all right, I guess that's all we need. We're gonna go. We're gonna go to the moon now. Now we know. No, go look up the video of Neil Armstrong on this thing. He almost died. He ejected, and it blew up. It was in the Chuck Norris video. Oh, here he is. Here he's ejecting from it. This is the only time they flew this. It blew up. He almost got killed. Couldn't even land it on Earth in an atmosphere. And he was an experienced pilot. He couldn't do it.
He just
He
went
couldn't
to the
land.
moon
He
after.
couldn't do it.
So I'll just go to
And,
the moon now. I'm ready.
Yeah, and then they went to the moon. Lunar module, lunar lander was never tested on Earth, and that was it. They just went to the moon. I mean, could you imagine being like the family of these guys? Like, yeah, we've never actually practiced in what we're going in, but we're just going to go anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch real quick to this image here, and you'll see here I found this. Now watch this guy. So he's gonna start, and this is Apollo 17. So I think that's Cernan and forgot who else was on that one. But when you see him start walking this
Cernan,
way,
he's a jerk.
oh man, I don't give a damn about that shit. That's all I remember him saying. Oh, you're gonna
care.
talk about the shadows, and we didn't go. I don't give a damn about that shit.
Wasn't one of them watching an Apollo conspiracy documentary when Bart Sibrel walked in the house?
Yeah, but if you notice, you know what I've always said before? I'll tell you whether or not these guys went to the moon when you sit down Buzz Aldrin in a movie theater and make them watch this shit. Because they can't watch it. I've seen Buzz. He can't look
Yeah,
at it.
they get uncomfortable.
Yeah, of course. You're lying to humanity. So look at this guy jumping around. Now, hold on a second. Now, what is this pole here? What do you think this is? There's a white pole here with like, it
It's
looks
supposed
like...
to be the flagpole.
Okay,
No,
so-
no. It's from the They had a series of tests. I forgot what it was called. That they set up about 200 meters from the landing site, supposedly.
Okay, so is
I
this...
forgot what it was called.
what is going on up here? See how the moon looks like it's up through here? Well, watch this guy go behind here. You'd think that thing there is
It's
something...
one, yeah, it looks like one surface.
What is that? What is going on here? It's just a complete composite. This is like an overlay, and they were just shitty at it. Now look at this guy fall, and you'll see, and this is why I want to strap on one of these balloons and do some of this stuff, because you can see this is what would happen if you fell, and you're able to get back up, because the balloon is holding you. You know, the balloon is what's lifting you up. You're able just to kind of spring back up. I mean, these guys you would not run and fall. You rip your suit at all, you're dead. And these guys are just hopping around on one foot. It's all such a joke. I mean, look at that. He goes behind that thing, which still don't know what that is supposed
Which
to
I
be.
think even with the suit on, it's still like 100-something pounds
Yeah.
in that gravity, right?
Well, but
And-
they should have been able to jump realistically probably 8 to 10 feet. I think if you figure out, because you have the same
Yeah,
muscle.
yeah. An average human could probably get
Yeah.
over 2 feet on the ground, off the ground, right?
Right, and you've got the same muscle mass. It's not as if you lose muscle mass when you went to the moon. You would be able to be like Superman. You should be able to jump, probably get a vertical of at least 8 feet. So, anyway, this whole thing here, it makes no sense.
They should have brought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to the moon, and had him do like a slam dunk contest.
I would like to see that. Definitely. What's lighting this guy up?
No,
in here?
that's what Space Jam was for.
My wife did a really good logo of that. It's called Space Scam. It's great. It's really good.
Still got better CGI than NASA. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what they try to explain this pole with. It's clearly like a layers, the layers issue. And again, I ask everyone, all you need to do is look at this thing. This is great. All you need to do is ask yourself the question is, why would they be forcing this Elon Musk and how great he is for, oh my goodness, look, he landed a rocket. He re-landed a rocket when 50 years ago they put people inside of it, launched it, and it went not just 50 miles up, but 245,000 miles out, landed on a foreign body with foreign gravity. People got out, played golf, drove around in a car, jumped around, came back, got back in that craft. It launched again.
Mostly jumped around.
Connected with the lunar, or not the lunar module, but the command module, and then came back to Earth.
Involved with that,
Jesus,
right?
So ridiculous.
And they have to go up and somehow match the speed, horizontal speed.
Right.
They had to match.
And then they came all the way back and landed in the ocean. And we're supposed to get excited because Elon Musk launched an unmanned rocket 50 miles high, and it came back down in 3 minutes. 3 minutes later, try doing what they did then 50 years ago, where they launched it and came back 12 days later. I mean, it's ridiculous that people would. I mean, look at this. You can see the balloon is pulling him. Why would he be leaning like that? What on the moon is causing you to lean one direction? Look at this guy leaning. Now he's trying to overpower this balloon. You got to run with the balloon, and then it starts going that way, and you get pulled that way. I'm going to try and find that one for you where they run, and then they try and change directions, and you'll see them almost have to do like this, I don't know what you'd call it, the Flintstones feet. Because if you're running one direction, and then you change directions, well, the balloon above you is going to keep going that way, so then you have to do like Flintstone feet to get back going the right direction. I'll find that while you share.
They're having to build a new lunar lander called Morpheus, right? they've been rehearsing it and trying to get it to land. They're still failing to land. They finally did land this thing, which I got a video here. This is the first time they landed this thing, not from that high either. Okay.
And where is this at?
This is like modern times. They're still having trouble getting this thing to land on Earth.
And where is this at?
This is at Kennedy Space Center, which I've been there before when I was a kid. But anyway, this is what you should have seen in the Apollo landings when they were landing. They didn't leave a crater, didn't leave nothing behind. Even in no atmosphere, or a semi-atmosphere, this is what happened. Look at the amount of dust and dirt that flies when this thing comes down.
Oh, gee, that's exactly what we saw in the lunar film.
No, and you can see the crater. I mean, look at this. It's like a tornado hit. I mean, look at.
Oh, that reminds me of SpaceX landings. Let the screen.
That maybe
clear.
wouldn't have flown up quite the same. You're still
going to kick up a ditch.
Yeah, and when it goes away, you can see the circle around it. There's a, it's what you should have, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what we expected to see.
What not talking about if this was a real landing or not, or if it was suspended by or whatever. I'm saying the propulsion, the thrust that was coming down, we should have seen that in the moon landings. I mean, look at this ring around it. This is even if this was placed down, this obviously caused, which by the way, this is supposed to look like the moon. This little section's like got little craters and stuff. So this is the best they can do right now. And that just tells me that if you're still questioning, if you're still somebody who believes they went to the moon, you have to ask yourself, why are they're having to test how to land something. Like they did it in 1969. But of course, they destroyed the technology. Remember?
Yeah, that's what Pettit said. Don Pettit said we had the technology, but we lost it, and it's too expensive to get it back.
Too expensive, yeah. But their budget has had many increases throughout the years. So what company moves backwards, even in a bad financial year? You know what I mean? Car companies, when they get beat by the competition, they still move forward.
Yep.
Not NASA. NASA's like, well, we can't do that anymore. So, we're just going to go to low Earth orbit, which they still have. They can't do that either, but that's what they say they can do. It's just an excuse. It's too hard to fake the moon landing now, because if they tried to do it again with today's technology, it'd be a lot easier to spot it.
We'd be picking it apart left and right.
Yeah. And I mean, you're talking about low Earth orbit. This is a picture supposedly from the space station taken by Scott Kelly. And
oh boy,
what's the problem you have? What's the problem you see here?
Besides the fact that you'd have to be about 6,000 miles from the Earth to get that picture.
Yeah. So this is the whole Earth, and there's no land mass. Well, I don't know if that's a land mass. I can't tell. Yeah, there's no land on this Earth.
Yeah, they're not nearly far enough away to get any kind of image like that.
And even if they were 220 miles up, or 200, whatever, however much, I think it's at least 210 is like their closest, right? What they say it is. This still shouldn't be possible, because the Earth should be filling so much of your view that even with a fisheye lens, this isn't going to happen.
No, even if you do the math on it, from 250 miles high, you should see a radius of 1,400 miles, which means a diameter of 2,800, which is nowhere near the 8,000 miles diameter of the Earth.
Yeah, and you can say, oh, this isn't really supposed to be the whole Earth. Well, I don't know if you guys can see this red, this black ring right here. The ring is actually supposed to be. I thought originally that was the window, this inner ring, and then I realized it's space, because if you go on this side, you see all this stuff in the foreground above the ring.
Right.
And that's not possible.
Yeah, unless that thing's
all
coming
this stuff
from
in the foreground. This is supposed to be the whole Earth, and this again, this is impossible. Even from the height they're saying they're from, this should not be possible. But my first thought was, well, this has to be the window, right? They can't be saying that's space, but it is space, because you see all the stuff in front of it. So
yeah, it's supposed to be. I think that these windows, if any kind of craft like this is up there taking high altitude photos, which I really doubt, but these windows are all curved just to give you almost a fisheye view all around, which curves the Earth from what you're seeing. If you're looking above a circle of the Earth, that maybe they're using I don't know. And for the most part, I think that's all faked.
Of course it is.
Yeah, let me show you this this image here, which I just saw. So watch again. Remember, I was just talking to you about the layers, and let me show you this. These guys are supposedly packing up the lunar rover to get moving. And let me show you something right here. Okay, so if we stopped right here, now where my mouse is, I guess you can't see my mouse, but you see you see the guy's helmet on the left, and then you see the guy behind him on the right, and you'll see next to him that there's the moon in the background. Now watch him go behind there, right here. What happened? What happened here? See how he's behind the layer?
Yeah.
This is supposed to be part of the moon, but it's a layer. It's not a real. Watch again here. You'll see him go behind the layer. There he is, right there. So he's ducked behind what is a layer, not part of the moon at all. And I think this is the one, if I remember right, that there's a shadow. I can't remember if this is the right view or not. I'll have to watch here in a second. So pay attention to where both astronauts are. Remember that there's only them two on the moon. So if we see a third-person shadow, that would be significant. So we're watching this guy. Okay, so the guy behind him.
And remember, they're shooting. They're still shooting manual on their cameras.
Right, and I guess what NASA's supposedly moving this video feed. Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, they say they can remote control it. Yeah, just like they can remote control stuff on on Mars, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the Mars one is such a joke. I mean, there's like a 35-minute delay or something in regards to if you sent a command to the module, it would take 35 minutes for you to even know that it got it. You would never be able to drive a remote control car like that.
No, not even. I mean, you saw the problems we had with Skype. I mean, they made a phone call, or Richard Nixon did. I think me and Bob talked about that earlier. He was talking about the problems with, electromagnetic field causing a sort of Faraday cage. blocking communications and whatnot. So I would let him talk about that. I'm not an expert on it, but
No, and Bob does great at that kind of stuff. And then also check out I'm going back to you right now. Also, if you check out Russian Vids, did an interview with a movie producer. Awesome video. The movie producer flat out says that even in today's world, that in order for him to have a wireless camera, and then even if he had a movie, let's say the producer or the director or whatever wants a live feed of what he's filming, that even to have a wireless live feed just 100 feet away, where somebody's going to review the footage 100 feet away, that for 1 hour, it would be a battery the size of a brick. And to then think of what they did on the moon, and you're transmitting that data 240,000 miles, basically in real time, plus or minus the 2 seconds they say of transmission time or whatever. But you would need batteries, the likes of which weren't even in existence at that time.
yeah, this photo, the link you gave me of all the space station photos, this is Kennedy Space Center from the International Space Station.
Holy smokes.
How is this possible? This is supposed to be taken with an 800 millimeter lens, which has a pretty good zoom, but not enough to see. I don't know if you can see this here. That's a vehicle. That is a car.
Wow.
Right there. Oh, make that a little smaller. Yeah, that's a car. How long is a car? 10, 12 feet?
Yeah, 12.
12 feet. So they're 230 miles away, right? What's their max? What's their average? About 230 miles?
Yeah, 240.
240? Let's do the math here. So 240, I'm sorry, yep, 240 miles times 5,280. That's how many feet they are. 1,267,200 feet. And they can see an object that's 12 foot wide, in length. If that's the case, we should, with a P900, we should be able to see the astronauts during a spacewalk. If this was taken with an 800 millimeter camera. And this is not, I've been on airplanes. I've been on like 10 flights, Boeing 757s, looking out the window and had way higher views than this. How do you know this is taken from a space station? How can you accept that as this was taken from a space station when
you can't.
You can find pictures of Kennedy Space Center taken from an airplane that looks about the same. But they say, there's no way. This is an 800 millimeter lens. Focal length can do this from 240 miles away. There is no way that you could zoom in this far, this well. You know what I mean? There's no way. We should be able to easily see, astronauts during a spacewalk if they can see a vehicle. Even with a telescope. But they're doing this with a standard zoom lens. Mm-hmm. They're just whipping out a camera, zooming into the Space Center, and just think they're going 17,000 plus miles an hour. You think that you can just snap a shot over Florida?
No blur at all.
And no blur. And the shutter speed would have had to been, because I know even at midday on Earth, not moving, as bright as it is, you'll use shutter speeds over 400th of a second, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes. And if you move, if I was walking on Earth and I took a shot, like a picture with the same shutter speed these guys used, I would have a blurry shot.
Absolutely.
And they're going 17,000 miles an hour. And not only can they take a picture without a blur, but they can take a picture over Kennedy Space Center. How did they get this shot lined up? They should have zipped past this like instantly. This is just a small section of one county in Florida. How long does it take them to go around the whole Earth? Like an hour and 20 minutes?
Yeah, 90 minutes, yeah.
So, yeah, this is impossible. Did they fly over and then they just like stopped above this and zoomed in and then they like kept going like the Jetsons?
Yeah, I still laugh at that. Just to think that we think men in rockets get in there and fly at 17,000 miles per hour, which is the speed you'd have to be going to get into Earth orbit. That is 87 football fields a second.
Yeah.
To imagine going fast enough that you fly by a football field in 1 second, one football field is pretty crazy. So then you can picture when you're in an aircraft, you're probably going by 2 or 3 in a second. And then to think that in a rocket, these guys are going 87 football fields in a second. Believe it all you want.
Yeah, so this is from a high altitude shot, and I was wanting to show one way that they could be doing a lot of the photos from the space station, which is using a transparency. So I literally have this piece of crap exterior, like an interior shot of like a spacecraft. So don't take like, you know, good quality, but imagine this is the cupola. All right, imagine this is the cupola. This is a high altitude balloon shot, not even as high up as a balloon can go. All right, and I have a transparent window.
Yep.
And I could make, if this was the cupola, right, and it would look like a shot from a space station with the windows being transparent. And of course, this is a piece of crap CGI rendering of a window, but I was just to make the point of what it would look like. Oh, look, we're going to the moon. This is a picture of us going to the moon. And I don't know if people know, you know, how high can we get a high altitude balloon? 100,000 feet, maybe a little bit higher than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the record supposedly is 173,000 feet, and of course there are no pictures or footage of it. But if there was, you could imagine how much more you could see, because what's your field of view from 100,000 feet? How many miles can you see around you? Over 200?
From 100,000 feet?
Yeah.
I can figure it out for you real quick. So from 100,000 feet, let me see here. Eye height 100,000. Let's see, target distance, we'll put 300 just to start. Nope, 200. Let's see here. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. 300. No, you can go 400. So it's a little between, let's see, 375. It's between 375 and 400. 385.
Now put it up at 173,000 feet, which is the balloon record.
395 is at 100,000 feet. So
wow.
That's a radius.
So the United States is what, about 2,800 miles across?
Yeah.
All right. And how many miles did you say you could see from 100,000 feet?
395 radius, so about 800 diameter.
So you could see. So you could literally capture the entire United States in seven passes from a balloon.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. And
just think about that for a second, because the entire state of Florida how big would that be? How many miles across? Probably a few hundred. You could easily see, because I've seen high altitude balloon footage of the whole state of Florida.
Yeah, because that's only probably it's not much more than 200 or 300 wide.
So when they're releasing these shots, like, oh, look, here's a space station picture of Italy and Greece. And, Greece doesn't even come close to the size of the United States. So when you think about these shots, how do you know they're taken from a space station? Many of the ones that are zoomed in shots of land masses very easily could be taken from high altitude.
Especially when you watch the ISS go over your head at night or in the morning whenever you're watching it. It certainly seems to be going about the same speed as a plane, and it just so happens that they say they're 50 times as far and 50 times as fast. So isn't that a coincidence?
Yeah, and so what I did was, to prove the point on something we were doing earlier, I took a plain black background, just like Rob Simmons says they do, and I'm going to do the same thing. So this is the blue marble, and there's a transparent background. I'm going to paste it just like he did. I'm not even in Photoshop, okay? Remember this. I'm not even in Photoshop. This is literally nothing at all. And I'm just going to make sure the background's really dark. Okay, now I'm going to save this as NASA Lies. Okay, so I got that saved. All right, now I'm going to get that picture, put it back in. Now I'm gonna do what I did earlier with the other pictures. And look, there's no box.
That even shows how lazy they are.
Where's the box around the Earth? It must be real then, because there's no box. Right? So they can't do that. Now watch this. Here's what they're actually doing. So they did that. So now I'm going to put the black background back, and now I'm going to superimpose the picture that I just did, the NASA Lies photo, on top of it. Okay, if I can find it. Where is it at? NASA. Where'd it go? Just had it.
I didn't see where you see it. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so Remember, was pasted over a black background. See? And I'm putting it over another black background. And I'm going to save it as NASA still lies. Okay. Now I'm going to load that picture. And what do you think is going to happen when I increase the gamma brightness? Ta-da! It's pasted in. That's what he told us they did. Remember? He told us that. So when you go back and look at these images of the Earth from the moon, like this, all right, remember what I just did. There's your box. I mean, they do this. We know this. There's no doubt about it. There's no need for them to do this. So I took a transparent Earth, put it over a fake background, and then superimposed it over another fake background. There was never any space involved in the photo or in the picture, but right. That's what they do. That's literally it. That's how they do it. Now, when there's no box, it doesn't mean it's real. It just means it's transparent. Just like we can see, this is from the GOES satellite, from the FTP server.
Right.
Why is the background transparent?
Yeah, imagine you've taken that image of the Earth and
you've removed space, and now you're going to put it back over a black background?
Why would you ever do that?
Why? This should be black anyway. But no, this is the blue marble. This is still the blue marble, which they admitted to. They still use the blue marble on all the current images. It's not even like they're not even hiding it anymore. This is the blue marble. If you can't tell, the only difference is the clouds are different. How blue it is. That's all they change. The model doesn't change. And they tell you right here, these are the people that process the GOES images. All right, let me read what they put on their website. I'm talking about their real-time images of the United States. Right? They said they used the NOAA's GOES satellite imager, blah, blah, blah. All right, so this guy basically, Rick Kors, he remaps the image, removes the portions of the image that are on the ground, and replaces those pixels with NASA's big blue marble.
They're not even hiding it, and yet people can't face facts.
There's the blue marble. So why? So he's like, we're going to remove the actual ground, the continents, the land masses, the islands. We're going to remove that, and instead put the blue marble over it. Put the blue marble behind it, and see, they said we're doing cloud detection algorithms. You know, they update the cloud data over the blue marble, and that's all they do. It's not even a secret. Like I told you, they don't care. They tell you they're lying, right in your face, and most people still believe it. So that's how they do it. You know, it's not a secret. They do paste jobs, as I've shown.
I'll let you get one ready while I show something real quick.
Thank you, Dino.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the video.
Okay, that little set of 4 samples.
Let me squish this a little bit. And can I make it smaller? There we go. Alright, so we're watching this guy here. Let me close that. So this guy is going to fall down here in a second, and I want you to remember now, he's got a bag in his hand. It's just a bag that they're putting lunar samples in. He just dropped it. He's going to go get it. And as he gets it, he's going to fall. Okay, and you can see here that they're, again,
taking photos that aren't blurry.
Right, exactly. Never a blurry photo at all. And now watching this next time, now he's just scooping dirt in the bag. Hey, thanks so much, Food Taxi. Appreciate that. And Q-Tip Mo. Appreciate that as well. You'll see, watch this right here. This is classic. So he gets back. Remember, this is a bag. Okay, up, he dropped the bag again. Now he kicks it. Now watch what he lands on here. Okay, let's watch it again. What held him up? Okay, we're going to watch it again. He landed on a bag, yet he's held up. Well, it's the balloon that held him up.
He dropped it again.
Show you again. Now, see, he falls. Now, why wouldn't he hit the ground there? He hit the bag? So the bag held him up from hitting the ground?
He never really touched the ground all the way.
He never touches the ground except
it's
for
just his hand, really.
Yep.
His knee barely hit, yeah.
So here he comes falling again. and you'll see, yeah, there's nothing that would hold him
His
up.
knee is like hovering a little bit.
Right here, look at, he hit the bag, and then just pops back up. So people,
Wow.
it's just, it's like, and now I have my own feelings about this right here. I think that he gets so pissed off here in a second that he's ready to quit. Now
Yeah,
again,
they got how many bags of rocks do they have, and they're going back for one bag?
now watch him right here. He gets all pissed off, and he like throws this bag down. And this is where I think he quits, because you'll see him here start making. I just picture people being offset, and watch him right here just say, he's like, all right, I'm done with this. Throw this bag down, which it just balances like that. Now over here, it looks like he quits. Like, that's it. I'm done. I've had all I can take of this. Turn off the cameras. It's just-
What?
I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you that's what he's
Why
doing.
did he spend all that time trying to get it back and then drop it on purpose?
Because he's all pissed off over here. He's like,
He's like, screw this. It would be fun if he just took off his life support. Screw my life.
I wish he would have. He's just like dusting himself off. Like, I'm tired of this. I can't take it. And now this is actually him taking photos in a second. And you'll laugh at this knowing what taking photos is like. Watch him have to do this little bend in his knees so he can take photos. Watch.
Oh, yeah. Do you know how hard it is to take a picture of your foot in a suit like that?
Watch where he's like, gotta take a picture. You gotta do the bend back. And the bend
Yeah,
back.
how did Buzz Aldrin take a picture of his foot?
Yeah, he just
They can't. These guys, have you seen them try to bend over? How far can they bend?
They can't. I mean, right here.
And,
This is
and we
him
know
trying
the
to bend
camera
right
was
here.
mounted to their chest.
Right. That's what he's trying to do here is get
So-
low enough to take an image. So he's like, watch
Yeah,
over
I
here, and he
mean,
goes, ugh,
how difficult that picture would have been. How blurry it should have been if they're jumping like that.
look at him bend.
Yeah, you can't get your foot in that shot. There's no way. There's no way to take a picture of your foot like that.
How would you bend over enough at the waist?
Yeah. How do you look at the angle of the cameras? How can that camera ever face down 90 degrees at his foot?
Never.
Ever. And the Hasselblad focal length I don't think was small enough to capture something that close without it being out of focus either.
I'll go back to you for now.
Yeah, that's okay. Looking around to the sun. Man, that's and yet the many times I think it was Apollo 12 where they actually blew the camera out, the video camera. They just blew it out, but they just left it facing the sun for so
yeah.
long, and then they just didn't have any video anymore.
Right.
What? And did you know that they changed film on the surface in direct sunlight? You know that you don't do that with film.
No, and I good thing to ask you now that you brought that up. In the Apollo 16 and 17, they actually do a spacewalk to go get the film canister from the outside of the spacecraft. I mean,
What?
Yeah, you've never seen that? They actually have to
Huh.
go. They have to go outside to get the film canister before they. Because remember the craft that they're in, they let burn up in the atmosphere. You know how that works, right? I mean, if people are coming back in it, it doesn't burn up. But anytime it's coming back without people, it burns up. So when they are coming back, I'll actually bring that up because there's some great footage of that. I've shown it a few times. It is the most ridiculous footage there is. It's the one where I think you see a scuba tank, and of course people have gone and looked it up and said, "Oh, Jeran, you did no research. It's right here. It's the gold medal foiling." And it's like, yeah, well, of course there's an answer for what it is. Nobody's expecting that you're going to show up on the NASA site and say, "Oh, you found the scuba tank? Oh, here's the keys to the vehicle assembly building. You caught us. We're out of here." Not going to happen, guys.
Yeah. And just like we were talking about the pale blue dot, this is taken from Juno. I think Juno was the one that took the pictures of Jupiter, right? Supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
You see these two specks? That's supposed to be the Earth and the Moon.
I believe it.
You believe that? That's the Earth and the Moon. What it has to be.
It has to be.
It has to be. It is photoshopped, but it has to be. Yeah. So you can see they're both pasted in. I literally have dozens of videos showing paste jobs from Cassini, from Juno, from even Apollo. You name it. Many videos showing this. I'm literally just going through all their catalogs and just exposing them one at a time. Cassini's are some of the worst, but yeah, you can see we're flat out we're moons. I think I have let me get a Cassini photo here for you. Mm-hmm. So the ELA on one of the Cassini images just has blue purple light, which is impossible for ELA. Here we go. Here you go. Yeah, that's Saturn, and that's the moons right here. See it?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see that. That's supposed to be a moon. But you have to ask yourself, why would they have to paste this in? Why is this pasted in? This is a moon. You see the circle in the middle, but you see the cube around it. So yeah, they paste the moons in. This isn't the only photo, and I don't have them all saved because all my old videos, I deleted a lot of the pictures I made them with. But you can see all these problems with many of the photos, and it's literally riddled with paste jobs all over the place. You know, you name it, there's a paste job happening.
And one of the
and didn't he, like I said, they admit it. That's not something that is even debatable. That they told you. They told you they do it, and people need to stop being like surprised. It's like, how could they? Why would they do that? I don't know, but they just told you they do, so they do.
Right. We don't even need to argue about that. They're saying that they do it.
Yeah. So
this site here I'm going to show real quick is the
yeah.
I've shown it before many times. It's apollo17.org. And
yeah, I got all the videos, right?
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, go here, please, and you'll see.
I got one video from Apollo 17 where they're talking about the water boys. Like they had these guys on Earth when they practiced at Kennedy Space Center that would carry water around because their suit, they actually would get so hot inside their suit in Florida. Are you telling me that Florida was, I guess, a lot hotter than the moon? But they'll say that's because there's not enough air to transfer the heat or whatever, not enough particles, whatever. Anyway, they would get really hot. They would almost pass out. And so these guys would just literally carry water around. And on Apollo 17, I have a video of it where I think Cernan's like, "Hey, it's funny that there aren't those water boys around here." and then the other guy's like, "What are you talking about? I saw them a minute ago."
Oh, that's on 17.
Yeah, he's like, "I saw him a minute ago," and then he changed the subject. He's like, "Oh, anyway, the oxygen tank."
Oh, you have to find that for me because that's what I'm talking about. I think those are those are whistleblowers.
He's like, "I just saw him a minute ago." Like, yeah, there's water boys running around on the moon.
Right, and they did that because NASA at the time couldn't like shoot them, so they kind of just say that little piece.
They're stagehands. They're running around because they did film it on Earth. They would have gotten really hot. They had to have it, and and that's why there's a lot of phantom footprints that are in places where they haven't been yet. Like I think it was Apollo 16. You can see like the very first photo when he steps out and he takes a photo. You can see footprints like 20 yards away, and he hadn't been there yet. It's like, what? Did he go out? Did he like make a really big jump and then jump back and take that picture? Because, there's no way. And you see many times where there's like a 10, 15-foot space between the hops, and that's not consistent with the footprints is what we're seeing in the video, because in the video they're like sliding around almost like their feet are dragging,
Right, which is I think because of the balloon. But watch this here. So this is, somebody actually went through and put all the images that they took, because remember they have timestamps and date stamps, so we know the date and time the images were taken. So when I highlight over each of these, you'll see the exact hour and minute of the mission. So this is at 3 hours 17:13. Then this next image is 3:17:23. Okay, makes sense. This next one, 3:17:28, makes sense. Now right here is 3:18:01. So in 30 seconds, we went from this image to this image in just 30 seconds, and that's just, there's so many images like that that if you go through here you'll see impossibilities like 3:36:50. We've got, what's this, a star, they call it debris, okay, but then the next image is, here's your round earth, and you can go through, I mean, here's more debris, LM adapter panels above Africa, they say, but you can go through each of these and really pick apart because somebody basically has done it for you. They've actually organized all the images in exact order that they were taken, and this is how you can tell that it was faked. And when you get down to, and then again, there's never an image, which is hilarious. So remember, you're flying to the moon, yet they're just showing the Earth. Here they go, the Earth. They're getting further away from the Earth. And remember, this can be done with a window. Look like, just like what you did earlier with the...
We did actually have a video where they take a picture of the Earth and it's like a golf ball, and then the very next photo they take a picture of the moon and the moon's really small too, and it's like, how are they from both?
And this one here, they're going along and they take pictures of the Earth, and then all of a sudden they turn the camera, and let me see where the first one is.
But doesn't the moon look bigger from Earth than it does on the way to the moon?
Doesn't the what? Say it again.
doesn't the moon looks bigger in the night sky and the Earth from Earth than a lot of the photos where they're supposedly halfway to the moon, looking at the moon, and the moon looks like really small.
Right. And so the entire time they're going to the Earth, to the moon, they never take an image of it until they get right here. Can you imagine that would be the case, that you would just all of a sudden,
Yeah.
here we are at the moon, and it's like, well, what, didn't you take images of it when you're on your way there? No.
And we can get footage like that from a P900.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's all telescope images. Let me show you this here.
Yeah, you can't even tell the difference between. I made a video showing what NASA says is pictures from Mercury, and I combined it with pictures from that they say are from the moon, from moon craters, and then pictures that we know were taken on Earth, and had people see if they could actually guess which were which, and you can't tell the difference. You can't tell. They could say this is from a moon, or, around a distant planet, and there's no way to tell at all. It just no way to tell. They all look the same from what they give us. Like only the moons are rocky, but the planets, they got water, and only a handful of moons are cool, like Europa. But I made Europa in Photoshop. I took a picture of an ice, like a crack in the ice from an ice fissure, made it like a little blue, and then put it in Photoshop and clicked 3D globe, and it made that ice image into a globe and it looked like Europa.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I want to see that. That's on your channel?
I haven't made a video about it. No,
Oh, okay.
But there's an option in Photoshop. It literally says 3D globe. You can make anything into a globe. You can go take a picture of Nevada, put a red tint on it, click 3D globe, looks like Mars.
Yeah, so these are the images they took of the moon right before they do this EVA mission, which is they then go out on the craft, and you can actually, I don't know if you can see it at home. Yeah, you can. Over here is the actual video footage, and that's what this person has done, and I'll give him a lot of credit for doing a fantastic job at building a site that stays in unison, meaning that when this guy's doing this, then you'll get the image that was taken over here. And by skipping to the image, you actually skip to the skip to the video portion of that. But again, there's a lot of discrepancies. Of course, there has to be, right? I mean, it's not going to be something that can be perfect.
It has to be.
It has to be. But this is the one I was talking about. This one here, if I could ever get this bigger, let me see if I can maximize this. Is there a maximize? This is the one where it is so clear that you can see something off here. You can actually see it right now. I'm not sure if you can see it. If you're looking on the left side, you'll see that there is basically somebody out here swimming. This is what I've... It's what's happening.
Why don't they practice in a pool where there's resistance, and then a vacuum you have no resistance? I mean, if anything, you would overly compensate in a vacuum after practicing in a pool.
Yeah, and if you watch, what they're going out there for is to get a film canister that is... I mean, there's no engineer in the world that would construct the camera to take photos, because this is what it is. Like when they landed on the moon, supposedly this camera on the outside of the craft is taking images. But you would never construct it so you would make the astronauts have to go out and retrieve it, which is what they're doing.
That makes no sense.
Makes no sense. See this up above? Can you see this?
But it has to be designed that way.
I don't know
It
if
has to
anybody
be.
can see that. It has to be. You'll see up here up top that there's something white moving out in this blackness of space. And this is where, in a second, where I see the scuba tank come up here. And, of course, people are going to say it's orange foil that they're ripping off. And, again, now you have to picture both these guys. Well, it's actually three guys, which this is another thing that doesn't make sense to me, is where's the other guy? Does he have his gear on, too? Because you've now opened the spacecraft to the outside space. Where's the third guy? Did he stay inside the craft?
Do we ever see footage of the depressurization?
No, of course not. And look at there was just a bubble. It's hard to see because it's just very small on the screen, I'm sure. But there's so many bubbles in this footage. There's another one, just went. When I say that, you can rewind. There's another one, just went. There's another one, just went. Keep watching. There's another bubble.
Well, they drown in space, remember?
Yep, because they need snorkels. There's another bubble. There's another bubble. There's another bubble. Keep watching.
NASA will come out and make a new discovery, bubbles in orbit, in thermosphere.
Space debris.
Not evaporating.
And they all go the same direction, and people say, but they don't go straight up. Well, yeah, they don't go straight up.
Could a water, let's say that they were there.
Okay.
And they're in the thermosphere. Right?
No, I think they're in deep space. They're way out there.
Wait, what is this from?
This is from Apollo 17 on their way back.
Okay. I was talking about the bubbles we saw from the space station.
Oh, no, this is, those ones there.
Yeah, but could a bubble of water even exist in the thermosphere?
No way.
Right? Exactly.
I don't think they could exist here.
So this is from, I didn't know they did this on Apollo 17. For what?
to get the film canister.
The film canister, because they left the cameras behind.
Yeah, no, they had to go retrieve some film, because remember this craft that they're in here, which is the command module.
God.
This is going to burn up in the atmosphere when they come back in the little pod, right? So
Screw that film. You know how many pictures they took? Apollo 17 took more photos than any of them.
yeah,
They took so many pictures. They took like 500 pictures. You know, forget that one canister.
it's so bad too. When he comes back in, basically you've got the scuba diver, which is over here, and I wish you could see my mouse, but I'm kind of pointing to the left of, you'll see this big rope or this connector here. Right above that is where the swimmer is, and he carries the canister back. I'll show you. It's not, there's no way that it's the astronaut carrying it back, because he's got both of his hands on the craft. He's crawling back to the craft. Let me show you here if I can find it.
Well, they're not astronauts. They're aquanauts, and that's actually what they're called on Earth before they're astronauts. Did you know that?
You know, they are aquanauts, I'll tell you that much.
That's actually what they're called. They actually go under the under lakes and under the ocean for like months at a time and live there. I think they filmed there, possibly. Which Mike Helmick showed. You know, the techniques of virtual reality. They don't even have to do it underwater anymore. You know what I mean?
And you see, I'm watching here. If you can watch this part, see if I can get a little further along. When he starts coming back, which is going to be right about here. See if it gets the video caught up here. Yeah, so watch the video now, which is on the left side of the screen. And I'll have to do another video where we watch this separate, where I can actually blow up that picture bigger, because this is going to be hard for you to see. But you'll see there's something going on there behind him. Clearly he is doing something over there. Well, the thing is, there's a scuba diver there, and they are helping him retrieve this film canister.
That's so stupid. That's like me and you go to the Grand Canyon. Or let's say let's pretend people can't go to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. We have like 10 cameras, right? They're film cameras. We're taking a bunch of pictures, but we drop one. Right? We're on vacation. I think I'm gonna go get a rope and climb down and get this one camera, even though I got piles of footage. What are they doing this for? Like, what's so important about this film?
I think it just reconfirms. I think it's all about reconfirming space.
I mean, nobody would do that. Nobody would risk their life to get one thing when there's so many other film canisters they had.
Never. Now
This
watch
just doesn't
this
make
guy.
sense.
Watch this guy coming back here, and you'll see he's got both of his hands.
And what would happen to a film? What's the canister made of?
It's just like a big metal canister. I don't know.
Okay.
But you'll see that he's got both of his hands on the craft, so he's not the one carrying the film canister. You'll see he's got his left hand and his right hand, and he's going to kind of be like crawling towards the opening here. But the film canister comes along with him because somebody's carrying it. You'll see he's traversing this thing, and you'll see the film canister kind of in between his hands there. See, but he's not carrying it. It's just kind of floating with him. Here he comes. Now he's just going to keep moving this way. And I think this is Apollo 17. Apollo 16, they do the exact same thing, only this time the canister's floating way over here by itself, kind of coming back. And you'll see he's just going to keep working this way. And the commentary, if I could turn on the sound, I would, but is even funnier. It is classic. I'm going to go back to you in 1 second, but I'll do this video where we'll go through this and pick it apart, because you can just tell none of the shadows make sense. It's all been edited. It's all been, and again, you're not going to see the scuba diver because it's been blacked out. That's why this is all so black over here.
Yeah, and you can easily green screen in water.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've shown.
They do it all the time.
I've shown the studio where they do it now. It's Temple.
Yeah, have you seen Project Nemo by NASA? I'm actually showing some pictures of it right now.
Oh yeah, I'll go to you right now. Yeah, I've seen.
This
You mean
is-
that thing that's in the ocean somewhere?
Yeah, they also put it in the bottom of lakes and they just go live down there. This is where they practice before they're actual astronauts. I think this is probably when they become astronauts, is when you go underwater. You know, if you go underwater in a suit, you're an astronaut. But they actually call them aquanauts. If you'll flip the screen over.
It's on you.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, look at these. They live down here. Now, like Mike Helmick showed, I don't think they need to be underwater anymore to simulate, and they never really needed to. There's all kind of ways with harnesses and zero-G planes to have simulated much of this, but with the virtual reality is just, you know, by far the best way to do it now. Just a combination of the harnesses. I mean, look at this. This looks like an International Space Station walk.
Peace.
You know, this is in a lake or an ocean. I don't know where it is, but they live down there. because it's supposed to simulate the extreme pressure. You're like, oh, so there's so much pressure down here, you know. But then they go out and do various things, you know.
The funniest part about that is they asked Tim Peake one time. They said, "Well, where is there a bathroom in there? Where do you go to the bathroom?" He says, "Oh, well, when we need to go to the bathroom, we just go out into the water and shit or piss." So that's what they do.
Oh my God.
They just go take shits out in the ocean.
Well, that's what they do in
very
space.
much. Thank you very kindly.
That's what they do in space.
So you won't catch me swimming in the ocean anytime soon.
There's all kind of stuff we don't want orbiting the Earth right now. Yeah.
Unless it burned up in the atmosphere, which I have my doubts about that alone.
Which, if you search NASA, I'm just curious, NASA virtual reality, which they admit they practice with it, but there was a video I put up where they actually claim that they have it on the space station. And that's a huge deal because they're admitting that the place that they're filming the ISS footage, they admit that wherever they're filming it, which we believe is on Earth, whatever, there is virtual reality on board. Oh, there's my video right there. VR confirmed. Yeah. And they openly talk about it. You know, they're like this, and this came out right after Mike Helmick's video, where the theory that they're using, you know, augmented virtual reality and contact lenses and whatnot. You don't need this this big visor thing on. That's just one way of projecting it. But there are other ways with contact lenses that are being developed by the military, and of course NASA would have access to it. Look, there's Buzz Aldrin with virtual reality. I mean,
oh, good old Buzz.
So
Honest
that's funny.
Buzz. They should change the name from Honest Abe to Honest Buzz. That's how I think it should start.
Look, there's Scott Kelly with his VR right here. See, HoloLens. But no, they got way better stuff than this. No, they're using that to make things appear to be floating around. It's very easy to do. Now they practice, like I said, when that video came out that showed them using it on the space station. I was like, so they're admitting where they film it, they have virtual reality. And they have a clever way of releasing the truth while still lying to you at the same time. They said that they were using virtual reality to do gravity grasping experiments. Like they were grasping at stuff in the air to see like how strong they could squeeze things that weren't really. I mean, what does that make any sense? So they're using virtual reality, things floating, to simulate grabbing things in space. Why don't you just do an actual strength test on something floating on the space station? Mm-hmm. Does that make any sense?
None at all.
But that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. So yeah, they use virtual reality. It's not a big deal.
That's easy now.
That's easy. I can't wait for the day they fake the Mars mission. I'm going to go as soon as they announce the launch date for a Mars mission. I'm going to go to Devon Island with a telescope and wait. But of course, they know better than that. They're not going to do it live. It's going to already be filmed.
Absolutely.
They're not going to do it live.
Pre-recorded long ago.
Yeah, it's pre-recorded. So yeah, so that's how they do a lot of this. But one of the things that I came across was this the software called JPEG Snoop, which allows you to see a lot of things that you normally wouldn't see with the photo forensics that we do. Uh-huh. And I went to NASA's website, and these are all the raw images from Spirit. Every single one of these, there's hundreds of thousands, from Spirit and Opportunity. So I'm just going to download one random one and show you what we get. If it will actually show me the picture. Tell me they're probably taking them down now. Now that I've found this, hold on. Let's try this one. There we go. Okay, so this is a full frame shot. It's a JPEG. Notice it's a JPEG image. Okay, so when you take a picture with a camera, a phone, anything, it's not naturally a JPEG shot. Okay, it's converted into JPEG. Hold on. Do I already have a picture there? I'll just save it as, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, so whenever you take a picture, it's converted into JPEG. It's compressed into JPEG, okay? That compression has a signature. Every camera has its own unique compression signature. And if it's a match, it tells you if it matches the catalog of cameras that they have. And so here, can you actually see pretty clearly what I'm looking at here?
Yep.
Okay. So when you scroll down, what you see is it is a dead match for the only camera that's detected is the Sony CyberShot U. And that is not the camera on any of the rovers. In fact, there shouldn't be any detected that match a known camera that's in the public because they made their own cameras. And this is the signature. This whole thing, this is a compression signature. Every one of those digits has to be in that order. And every single one. You can download any of these pictures, every single one, no matter where it's from, Opportunity Spirit, it will be a dead match for this camera. And that is a huge nail in the coffin for the pictures because that's just very lazy. I mean, this is the camera. It's a point and shoot piece of crap. I mean, this is the Mars rover camera right here. You can't. There is absolutely no way to get this compression ID. There's no way. Busted. It is a dead match. But what's funny is the Curiosity pictures have had the compression signatures removed. But they were dumb enough to leave these up, and these are a dead match. He says it's a match right here. Yes. And yes, it was saved in Photoshop as well. It's saved as this quality, which shouldn't happen if these are raw images. So not only are they not raw uploaded, it's also taken with a camera that is not supposed to be on the rover. So I guess some guy at, Jet Propulsion Laboratory just picked this camera up. I guess on the day they were supposed to be landing on Mars, they called him like, hey, go to the dollar store and just go pick up a camera. He's like, well, for what? Just don't worry about it. Just get a camera.
Just do what we say.
Just do it. And so he went and got this camera, and he takes these black. They've been taking these piece of crap black and white pictures ever since. But these are a dead match. And by the way, Jeran,
yes.
I added your camera signature that you gave me from one of your photos into the program. And so if you ever sent me another photo, it would tell me it was taken with your camera.
Oh, it would come up now.
Yes, it would, because yours just wasn't in the system yet. But luckily, this CyberShot U is in the system, there. And the CyberShot U was released just before the Mars missions. Literally like a year, not even a year before they launched Spirit and Opportunity. Mm-hmm. So that's the camera. But if you go look at the camera specs, that is not the camera that is supposed to be on.
No, it's not the camera on the rover. Huh?
No. I mean, look at this. This is it. I mean, would you put? And they admit that it's a 2. That's what's funny is it's a 2 megapixel camera, which the CyberShot U is. All right, and they admit that a couple of the cameras are 2 megapixel, but they're not these. They're not. There's no Sony product on it.
Jeez.
And they say that they want it to be poor quality on purpose, so they can get more pictures uploaded every day and sent back to Earth. I think they can only do like 35 megabytes a day. So they got to take really crappy photos, but
of course.
But how expensive are the rovers? But you're going to put a 2 megapixel camera on it.
Well, it's like those expensive
every image
satellites.
You've seen of Mars, these huge composite images are supposedly stitched together with those types of pictures, like this one here. This is a huge stitch job. Okay, this is a huge composite image. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that pretty clear. I'll crop it a little bit so you can zoom in. If you look at the EXIF data, which they usually leave the EXIF data in for the composites, look how many images were combined to make this picture. 89. 89 pictures. Could you imagine dividing this image into 89 sections? You would have like a picture like this of a rock, a picture of another rock, part of it. They probably went and captured this hill in Nevada, superimposed that, and got some hills from Devon Island. And so what they're doing is, instead of taking the pictures all on Devon Island in the same place over and over, they got to change the landscape, right? So occasionally they go get footage and images of something like that, of a hill from this place, some rocks from this place, from sand from this place, and they combine it together into a huge 89 picture composite. In reality, none of these surfaces come from the same place. They're all mixed together. And if you do the ELA on that picture, by the way, there's no rover. It's missing. I think me and you went over that before as well, which should be impossible. Here it is. I put them side by side, which made the most ridiculous ELA I've ever seen. All right, Jeran, you've done ELAs on your show before.
Yep.
And have you ever seen anything like this?
No, it's completely gone.
not only is the rover gone, but what is this rainbow thing?
Yeah, I have no idea. Light.
What outline is this?
Yeah, I have no
What
idea
is
what
this?
that could be.
Well, you know what it is? It's a fake fisheye. This is not a real fisheye. This tells me that this is a this circle matches the radius and the ratio of the fisheye right here. But why is it behind? Why isn't it coming over the foreground? I don't know. This is a mystery. This should ELAs should be black and white. Anybody who maybe not know what we're talking about, if you go to a place like Photo Forensics and you upload a picture, I'm going to upload that very picture, by the way, same picture, and so you can see what I'm talking about. Actually, I'll do it on my other one. But this, if you guys want to favorite these websites, I highly recommend it because you can expose so much with these photo forensics. I guess they just never thought we'd look into it, and you know, after we started exposing it, you know, I guess they just figured whatever, we'll leave it up. This site.
Yep, lost you. Where'd you go?
Very cool.
There you go.
Oh, can you still hear me?
Now I can.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, you can still hear me, right?
Yep. We got you.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So for those who don't know how to do ELA, you just this is their picture, so you can see where I got this picture from, and I didn't modify it. This is this is where I got it. You know, this is not a fabrication. Everything in an ELA should be roughly black and white. Any color indicates a modification, extreme modification. You might see a little bit of blue here and there, but you look at these boxes. This is completely pasted in, but we know it's a composite. But still, a composite wasn't. I mean, what is this? But if you go into the ELA on many of these photos, you can expose a lot. And same thing for the JPEG analysis, quantization tables. These, me and you went over this too. This determines the quality of the image. How can an image that's a composite of 89 images have such a pure quality?
Impossible.
It says 99%. These boxes, for any other picture, these boxes will range from numbers between 10 to like 60. These are all ones. The lower the number, the better. 0 is perfect. They're all ones. That's impossible. They're manipulating the quantization tables as well. They control the compression. They're extremely modifying these pictures. If I go take a raw picture with my camera, I'm not going to get these results. So, I mean, like I said, we've already proven that they manipulate, and I have many videos, which it would take me forever to go back over. But if you just definitely go watch those videos, and I go over many of the missions and many of the problems with the photography and whatnot.
So I'll put Archer's site in the description. Make sure you check it out because he's got tons of stuff. I haven't even gone through half of his videos, so I know there's a lot of stuff I need to look at as well. I'll real quick switch to this one more time.
How do you get a cause are you on the West Coast?
Yes, California.
I'm on the East Coast. Okay. The Earth's spinning west to east, or east to west, right? Towards you, from me, right?
Right.
So constantly spinning the same direction. Yet, you know, the centrifugal force, that means the water is also moving at that speed, the ocean water. Yet we get tides that go against the centrifugal force on the East Coast, which are going against the spin of the Earth.
Yeah, the whole thing with air and everything just makes no sense with the wind.
But they'll say this because of the moon's gravity, but me and Mike had to talk about, you know, the moon's gravity, it only really affects salt water.
Right, it doesn't affect the lake.
Well, shouldn't the satellites be getting zapped up to the moon if it's that strong?
Yeah, really. Okay, so watch this. This guy's running here, and then watch what I'm talking about. Remember, if he's got a balloon attached to him, and he needs to make a stop here. Don't go too far on the screen here. So you'll see he's... Okay, so he's got to stop. Now he's got to kind of pedal with his feet. Here he goes, because he's got to kind of hold himself, because the balloon's going that way now. Now he's got to fight against the balloon to get down here and get it. And of course he falls. And you'll see that even the balloon is dragging him on the ground, because that's the direction it was going. You know, so again, we go and rewind it a little bit and show you. He's going this direction. Now he's trying to turn. That's probably a little choppy. So now he's trying to turn. Remember, the balloon is going to keep going to our left. So the balloon keeps going to our left. Now he's trying to
Okay, Tony, in
overpower
the
it.
left setting.
Now he gets down, grabs this. Now the balloon's just going to kind of drag him along the ground here. See it? The balloon
Yeah.
is dragging him away. So I mean, that's why I want to do this so bad, because I think
What's funny, they talk about how light things are, how light they are on the moon, how light the things they're holding is
Right.
on the moon. Yet they pick up a bag of rocks and they get tilted over.
A large
Yep.
They're
And
like when they hold stuff in their hand, they get like completely like lopsided.
at 1/6 gravity, then you'd be able to move your hands and move your arms. And
Yeah, I would just throw the bag of rocks all the way back from wherever I was. Just
things
throw
would,
it.
yeah, just things would be able to move much quicker and easier, and not slower.
still lying there where you fell over.
Yeah, and there's
Okay.
much more than this. If you watch the 16 and 17 and 15 also, 15's got a lot too. I'm not sure if that's what they used on 11, but I know by this stage, certainly seems like everything I watch is definitely looks like it's as a result. And this is kind of what they're talking about, this mountain back here. Like, you never see them go up here.
No, they'll never touch it.
Yeah,
Okay,
They'll go right up to the edge and turn around.
right.
It's funny. Yeah, they just don't touch it. And isn't it funny how slow the Mars rover, how slow they travel? It's like an inch an hour.
Yeah, that
you
thing
know?
never moves at all.
But any other, sort of rover or remote-controlled vehicle that we build on Earth works so much better. But have you ever stopped to think about how poor of a vehicle it is? Just, I don't care how much money was put into it. Like, how little ground it covers. Because, you have the battery life. Even though they say it's solar powered, they say, well, there's days on Mars where there's so much cover and there's dust and the sun can't get it, so it doesn't get power. I mean, don't you want to cover as much ground as possible? Wouldn't you make it a quicker vehicle?
Oh boy, I didn't see this. Did you see this on phys.org? I got to bring this up right here. Wait till you see this. NASA unveils Mars rover concept vehicle. You ready to see this? You may puke.
Oh my gosh.
You may just puke. Here it comes.
Show me.
There it is.
Hold on, I'm waiting on you to share it.
NASA. Oh boy. This is the NASA unveils Mars rover concept vehicle. This is just from yesterday.
Is that the Batmobile?
Yes, it is.
Hey, and do you want to bet that it only goes like 1 mile an hour? They make it look real cool, but it can't hardly move.
The builders of this scientifically themed Mars rover concept vehicle, Parker Brothers Concepts of Port Canaveral, Florida. Oh boy, that
Yeah, is that a Halo Warthog?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, did Bungie make this?
Oh, goodness gracious. Which, hey, at least they got rid of all these. I mean, it's a big upgrade from where we're at now, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's no. I guess their explanation is they want it to move extremely slow because they don't want it to hit a rock or something. But I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense. You want to cover as much ground as possible. You would just build it to be very hard to top over, but move quicker. But no, it's gonna go over one rock at a time. Did you see the picture they released where it's like, here's a picture of the area where they collected samples with the rover, but they covered the samples with like colorful graphs. It's like, I want to see where they did the sample. Show me the hole they dug.
Remember we were taught as children that they had all these dust storms on Mars, right? Constant dust
Oh, that's
tornadoes.
probably a 95 picture composite.
Yeah,
That-
but
yeah.
I mean, how would you have all these open areas? How could you have all this open mechanical areas, all these, and you're not afraid of any dust ruining this thing? I mean, look at all these areas that are just wide open. They would just get full of dust. There's no way this stuff would work longer, especially the way they describe it. Oh, well, there's these dust storms. Then dust would just get all clogged in all these areas.
It would cover the lens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's
it would
cleaning
get
it?
trapped in the lens. There's no explanation for it.
Nope, they just expect you to believe it. You better believe it. And there's even
Well,
like
I haven't looked into the radiation and stuff they claim that might be there. I need to look into that and see what that is, or the temp. I haven't really looked into the temperatures either. What they claim. But have you seen the selfies that the rover takes where you can't even see the robotic arm that's taking the picture?
No, they like take those out somehow.
Yeah, they said that's because it's a composite. That they you can't see that. Yeah, those cameras. That's your Sony CyberShot.
Right.
That's your CyberShot. That's your point. Would you put a point and shoot camera on a rover?
Never. Not when it's $150 billion or whatever. I wonder what do they say this thing costs.
No, you can put the best camera on there in the world. You're gonna put a telescope on it. You're gonna put a. I mean, I don't know if I built something, but the point is that's not even the camera. that's being detected, the compression data that's being detected is not the camera that's supposed to be on there. That completely proves that the pictures that are coming from Spirit and Curiosity, Spirit and Opportunity at least, were taken with a camera on Earth. Or they built a rover that had a Sony CyberShot U and didn't tell us about it. Either way, they're lying.
Yeah, I mean, this thing's great too because Curiosity was supposed to last 2 years. And it says here, Curiosity's design will serve as a basis for the planned Mars 2020 rover. Now they're sending another rover, even though in December 2012, Curiosity's 2-year mission was extended indefinitely. So now they've made the rover only last 2 years.
Wasn't it supposed to last like a few years?
Just 2. Yeah, it was supposed to last 2 years, and now they...
Well, it's lasted a very long time.
Yeah, since, well, I guess it was 2010.
They're still uploading Spirit and Opportunity photos, and I think it launched in 03.
Yep.
They're still uploading them. And guess what? The new ones that they uploaded, like today, match the Sony CyberShot. It's not just the old ones, it's the new ones too. I went all the way back to the first picture that Spirit took, and it matches the Sony CyberShot. So they're literally some guy at Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or they went out to Devon Island, he's just walking around with a point and shoot taking pictures. That's the black, at least for the black and white crappy pictures that they release, that's with a Sony CyberShot, even though, that's not supposed to be on the rover.
But they've got a picture here of the radioisotope within a graphite shell that goes into the generator. It's a picture right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to find the cost of it. I wanted to see what this...
Yeah, see if you can find that Sony point and shoot.
Oh, I'm sure that's not... Let me go control find, see if there's any Sony at all.
Oh, no, and the Curiosity images
Sony.
match Photoshop JPEG compression signatures, even the ones that they claim to be raw. So we know that they're manipulating photos. That's not even a secret anymore.
And there's not even the word Sony on here at all, so they've got nothing. Let's see here. So the team...
the camera signatures are... And I actually tested it with my phone earlier. Not just with my current phone. I tested it with a picture I took from my old cell phone like 7 years ago, and it matched the exact model. Exact model. So it told me exactly what... So it's very accurate. And the only reason it didn't match yours is because yours hadn't been added to the system yet. Yours came out I think probably a little bit after the last update that they had. Mm-hmm. But since I uploaded yours, if you ever send me a picture, like I said, it would instantly tell me. Like I just save it as Jeran's compression signature. Mm-hmm. It would tell me that it was your camera right away.
I don't see anything on here that tells you the cost. I thought I've seen it before, but I don't know what it is.
So it's probably $333 million.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Which actually was the cost of the Temple. I think it was a Temple 1 mission where they. Have you seen? Tell me you've seen the footage of the collision that they had with the comet they called Temple 1, named after the guy who found it. Let me.
2.5.
I'm actually going to pull that video up while you're talking. Go ahead and do whatever you were doing.
Yeah, $2.5 billion is the cost of. Is the cost of Curiosity.
This is the funniest video I've ever seen in my life. This literally, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I said, "Really? This is the collision." Deep Impact. Deep Impact was the name, right? Which is like a movie, right? Like the movie Deep Impact, and the probe collided with the comet on July 4th. for that glorious fireworks. You can't make this stuff up.
No, or the one that looked like
they planned
jack-o'-lantern
They planned
sun,
to do that, right?
Or the skull crater that was coming by on Halloween the year before that.
Look, hey, switch over so I can show this.
We're on you.
Yeah, this is the Temple 1 video. This is a probe hitting. Watch the explosion. It's only 4 seconds. Here it is. Boom. That's all you get.
That looked real to me. Please.
Look at that. Look at the first one is like a square. Do you see that? Look at that.
I'm sure that didn't come from any data visualization studio at all.
No, but and NASA's got some other Jet Propulsion Laboratory. First impressions of Stardust. Next flyby. So they sent another craft called Stardust to fly back by this comet, and they claim that it showed an impact crater, and it's like you can't even see anything at all. Anyway, it's like they did a poor job of even trying to convince you that this thing hit the first time around. It's just ridiculous. But look into the Deep Impact mission, which did cost $333 million, and that's what you get.
Jeez.
That's what you get.
We definitely suggest to everyone to do your own research and make up your own mind. As always, everything that we've said is our own opinions, and by no means do we say that what we say is fact, but we are allowed to make our own opinions and our own recommendations. So I definitely recommend that everyone go out, look at these images, learn how to use ELAs, go back and follow kind of some of the things that Archer did in his presentation, and really look into this stuff, and you're going to see that what we've all been told. Wow, look at that. Jeez. What we've all been told. Yeah, I didn't know you could do that. That's how
You see me making the Terminator line.
Yeah, what program are you using?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I'm not even in Photoshop. I'm just trying to show you how easy it is to do this. Yeah, this is a Photoscape.
Wow.
And doesn't that, I mean, that looks like a genuine Terminator line.
So remind everybody one more time where they can find you. And,
yeah, Archersage, just look me up on YouTube. I got like 90 videos exposing, NASA photography, Apollo mission stuff. Pretty much most of the stuff we talked about, I like to focus on because that's just my sort of area of expertise, which I'd like to make another video sometime and talk about some of the satellite imagery as well. But yeah.
Well, I think it'd be good. I think that, I'm still learning some of my software and getting this stuff down so I can make a decent presentation. So I'm going to be doing a lot of videos and want to do a lot of live stuff. So hopefully we'll have Archer back soon and have a little bit more well put together piece. But, the truth is in front of you. You've got Robert Simon telling you exactly what he's doing, and you've got NASA clearly showing you that what they're doing is not on the up and up. And it's up to us to decide whether or not we're going to buy it or whether or not we're going to stand up and demand that they prove it. And the saddest part about this whole thing is to me that if as a human race everyone recognized that there's a good 10 or 20% of us that have a problem with a lot of these images, and if the human race turned to NASA and demanded proof and demanded evidence and demanded that they go back to the moon and this kind of stuff, then all this would be done. All of it would be done. The problem is that other 80%, for whatever reason, has decided to join those that we've said are lying to the human race and to protect them and to argue on behalf of them, all because they're in love with the lie. And that's the hardest part for me to understand, is that if we are such fools and we are, out in left field here, then just have NASA prove that by either supplying live data or by going back to the moon or showing this upcoming lunar eclipse. Why has nobody talked about that? Or solar eclipse is coming, but I'm saying there's a lunar eclipse every year. So why not have a camera on the moon that shows...
Yeah, your audio cut off.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay. Why not have a camera on the moon showing the Earth as it moves in front of the sun and causes the lunar eclipse? Yeah. But they've never shown that. And when you go look at the Japanese landings and the Chiang 3 or whatever that thing's called that's on the moon right now, it's so obviously a fake. And if NASA was legit at all, they'd be the ones calling it out as a fake. But they don't. They just sit there and say, yeah, China's on the moon. Here's the images, even though they look nothing like the moon images of the past.
Yeah.
It's disgusting, and it just tells you that everyone's in on it together, and it's not just America that they're doing this to. It's the entire human race, top to bottom. It is a big old club.
And people say, why would all the space agencies fake it? Are they all in on it together? Yeah, they're all making a great amount of money off of this. So yeah, actually.
Yep, it's like George Carlin said, right? There's a big old men's club, and you're not in on it. So none of us are in on it, and so they're going to keep doing it until we stop them.
Huh. And look, this I made a moon from looks like one of the moons around Saturn. Hold on, there we go. I'll get on the edge here. There we go.
And it doesn't matter because, I know a lot of people always question, well, who is it that's doing this? Is it the Freemasons? Is it the Jews? It doesn't really matter as much as they all allow each other to do it. So it's a fact that it's being done that needs to be addressed. The who is kind of unimportant because they're all in on it together. So from everyone from the Vatican to the Jewish banking elite to the Freemasons, you name it, in every facet, they're letting each other do it because, well, you can't out your friend who robbed a bank. You can't turn him into the cops or else he'll just turn you in. So if you're a criminal and your friend's a criminal, you just allow each other to exist as criminals, and you don't want to out each other because, well, they've got secrets, and that's why Russia does what they do and America does what they do, because they both have secrets. Russia can't come out and say, Americans never went to the moon, because America would say, you never did anything. You didn't put Sputnik in orbit. So both of them have secrets that neither of them can let each other know. No, I'm sorry, not let each other know. Each other knows fine, but they can't let their people know, because what Russia claims they have done is what keeps them in power with their citizens not in power, and same thing with America. And so that none of this stuff will come out from another country. They would never come out and say anything because they would get the finger pointed right back at them, and that's the last thing they want. It's kind of like the whole lie of nuclear weapons. That
It's all fear. It's all fear based.
Yeah, it's fear-based. That's it. Right. Nobody would ever launch a nuclear weapon because they don't want to annihilate themselves. And that's what would happen. I mean, so the whole idea is just a joke anyway. You're not going to, it's a stupid threat. It just keeps people scared. And they have to keep people thinking that there's some sort of race that went on for the Cold War and that we were battling against Russia. No, it wasn't anything like that at all. It's all propaganda. And if you think it didn't work, well, look at the world now. It absolutely worked.
I really would like more people to go into some of the images and try to break them down. I mean, I just made a moon out of an atlas stone, and it looks like a genuine photo that NASA released. Look, you can see the solar wind. You see that? See the solar wind on there? That's from
it's actually
millions. That's from millions of years of debris impact and
methane gas too, right there.
That's methane gas. That's methane.
High concentration.
Why else would it be green?
Gas. Right.
So that's just to show you, I didn't have a budget. I'm not even in Photoshop. This is a generic photo program. I wish I had Photoshop on this computer. You can do even more. But I just literally, to show you where this image began, I took it from that, and we got that. So literally took no time. Rob Skiba did the same thing, looking out his airplane window. It looked like Mars when he flew over the Southwest United States, right? You can do this. It doesn't cost anything. People are like, how could they fake it? It costs too much. No, it doesn't. It just don't cost anything.
That's easy.
No, you would just put one of these over like a black blanket and just take pictures of it. I mean, that's how they do it. And not all of it's CGI. Some of it's done this way, and it doesn't have to be done with CGI. It can be really simple. And like you said, I really want more people to get into looking into the images, how they're processed. Really would like people to download the JPEG Snoop software, and it'll tell you. By the way, this is a raw image. You can see the software was saved through Photoshop. It'll tell you everything, even if the other photo forensics won't tell you. It gives you all kind of data, and there's some websites as well which teach you how to read some of this data. So you can get a lot of information from that. So get that and look at photo forensics as well, and you can discover a lot of obvious fakery.
The only thing I would warn people of is make sure with the photo forensics that you're looking at digital images. So it doesn't really do a lot of good to put Apollo images in the ELA stuff. I've seen people try and do that, and it's like, no, well, that's not a digital image. So
it's a film.
That's film.
Yeah. However,
it still can show you something.
In a dark room back in the days of film, you can still superimpose one picture over another.
Right.
And they did.
But that's a composite. It's only a composite.
No, they put a fake. The Earth was pasted in a dark room over another image, and you could see it. But then they removed it later. I wish I had the original. I think Mike Helmick might still have it. He still has some of the older versions. He used to save years ago before NASA remodeled them, and you could compare them side by side and see that they were put in Photoshop 100 times. I mean, you can tell that right away. So
right.
Yeah.
And I want to do another video too where we're going to have Mike join us as well. And we can talk about this here. I'll merge this before we go. Just in case you didn't know that scientists believe, as Archer pointed out earlier, they believe that on Jupiter and Saturn it rains diamonds. Okay, so nothing is more true than that.
Wait, really?
Yeah, new atmospheric data for the gas giants indicates that carbon is abundant in its dazzling crystal form. Lightning storms turn methane into soot, which hardens into chunks of graphite and then diamond as it falls. So
what?
And people call me a liar.
Oh, I can't wait for
this is classic stuff.
For the jewelry companies to take advantage of this.
Oh man, they're going to send a probe there soon, land on the gas giant somehow.
Okay, can't you already see it? Can't you already see the huge scam that's going to happen with supposed diamonds coming back from a Jupiter craft? Oh my gosh.
It's not very far away.
Remember the moon rocks, how high they were valued. Imagine a Jupiter diamond.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
All right,
I
so
mean,
tell everybody one more time where they can find you.
yeah.
And we'll let them know.
Yeah. So Archer Sage, just look me up on YouTube. I think somebody posted a link. I'm not actually on the YouTube video on my computer, but yeah, somebody posted a link in there. You can go check it out, and we'll put a link to the channel in the description box as well.
Will do. And we'll see you guys soon for another episode of Jeranism Live. And remember, be kind, don't lie, and open your mind, because there's truth inside. Till next time, guys, it's been fun. Peace!